This is Atomic Shinobi and today I'm going to narrate first part of What If Naruto Was Trained by a Legendary Samurai. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
50 years ago, the youthful samurai, only 20 years old, was kneeling by his dying master's side. With a voice as calm as those who are staring death in the face, the elderly man declared, "Mayushi, you have been chosen to be the successor of the Naiten Ichi Ryu style of swordsmanship." The young man exclaimed, "Master, I am not worthy of such an honor. Do not say such things. You have done remarkably well for your young age and you will only get better. Listen very well, for this is your final lesson from me. Hi Sensei. Words, titles, honorifics and the like, they mean nothing in this world. We long for fame, fortune and aggrandizement, and yet it all comes to nothing in the face of death. We seek all these things because we are not complete within ourselves, we are not at peace. We have lost our connection to nature. In my death I finally understand what Yagayu Sakishusai sensei said that night when I was poised to take his life." "What did he say?" the young man inquired, fully aware that this man was among his most ferocious adversaries. "He said to me, 'My sword is one with heaven and earth.'" "My sword is one with heaven and earth?" "Yes, the ultimate ideal of the swordsman develops in 3 stages. The first stage begins with the unity of man and sword. In this stage cannot distinguish between man and sword, for they are the same. Even blade of grass is the deadliest weapon as such a man's hand. The second stage is when the sword exists in a man's heart, and in this stage even without his sword the swordsman is a formidable opponent. The final stage is when the sword exists neither in the man's heart nor hand. He is at peace with himself and the worlds and seeks to bring peace to mankind." The young man was unable to speak. Mayushi's soul was etched with those words. "I have had a strange dream, Mayushi. The world will be thrown into a great turmoil once again, and a war will begin the likes of which we could never dream of. A great war. A child who is going to be your student will come into your life in the last years and bear a load that none of us could ever imagine." "What the heck? My student?" was the startled response from the young man. "Yes, your student, and he will be the greatest of us all. It will force him to engage in numerous battles, but he's going to develop into a warrior unlike any this world has ever seen. Numerous lives will depend on him as he will be the center of attention in this conflict. How will I be able to tell if I have located this child?" "You will not find him, he will find you." "What a heavy load. Am I able to train such a warrior?" "Do not doubt yourself. Doubt is a deadly feeling for a warrior." "Hi Sensei. Now my time is almost here, my son. As my successor I give to you the things I valued most in my life. My teachings of Dakodo, Go-Rin no Sho, and 2 swords. A katana named Yuarakai, tender hands, and a wakizashi named Hagashi Seishin, unwavering spirit, forged by one of the greatest swordsmiths ever, Masamune. This is a true gem in the world of samurai." The young man was unable to speak. The last words uttered by his father, "Master," were, "We are all a part of nature and we cannot escape it, do not struggle." Grinning, the legendary Musashi Miyamoto, his father, passed away. Today, Naruto, having failed the exam a second time, sat by himself on the swing and watched with envy as the other children's parents praised them for a job well done. His heart was filled with rage, loneliness, grief, and longing because he too longed to be greeted by a loved one at the height of his success. He was also hoping to hear, "Well done, son," or "Good job, my boy." The boy was asking himself, "Why am I all alone? Why am I ignored and shunned at all times?" Because he was not a stupid boy, Naruto was well aware of the barely hidden rage that was constantly directed at him. He told the children about the treatment he had received from the villagers before they all went home with their families. Children were naturally curious to learn more about the world they lived in. Naruto knew there had to be a reason behind the treatment he had received, having spent the majority of his life being shunned and ignored. He had trouble in class using the academy jutsu, particularly the Bunshin no Jutsu, because he couldn't seem to get his chakra to release properly. He avoided class as a result, acting like any other child his age. His justification was clear, cut and sensible. "Why do you keep going to the location of your suffering?" And so his failure would keep repeating itself. The suppressed rage that was hiding beneath his false smile started to show. It's been said that when you see other people angry, it makes you angry too. The boy's facade was broken by 2 consecutive failures in the genin exam, combined with a lifetime of being shunned, ignored, and called a monster. It's been said that there are worse things in life than dying. For me, not existing was one of them. The perception of a non-human as a non entity causes great psychological stress in humans. Therefore, the human mind tries to stand out, to shine, to be seen in a desperate attempt to survive. People exhibit this need to exist and be acknowledged in different ways. Some people act out of aggression, scream, shout, purposefully fail at things, fabricate a tragic tale, and adopt a poor me attitude in an attempt to attract the sympathy of others. This need for attention was shown in Naruto by his loud, brash attitude, his bright orange jumpsuit in a shinobi village, and, regrettably for the villagers, by his practical jokes. Any person who was really paying attention would have seen that he was acting in a desperate attempt to attract attention. It would also be evident to them that he was a young person of great mental and emotional toughness, as it was no easy task to remain motivated to succeed in the face of such pressure. But he was still only a child and a human, and despite his strength, his fragile mind was starting to crumble. In spite of everything, he remained a child and was therefore very susceptible to the village's indifference. Greater men have crumbled beneath such stress. He wandered through the village's sparsely populated area, lost in his rage and melancholy. He was walking when he noticed a small scroll shop that drew his attention. He wasn't sure why, but the small shop somehow captured his interest. A strange curiosity replaced his anger and depression. He instinctively ducked his head to cover his face as he walked into the plain building to avoid an impolite greeting. But that was not the case today, as an elderly man who was kind to him spoke in a gentle voice. "Hello there, young one, what brings you to my humble establishment?" When Naruto finally raised his head to meet the man's eyes, a connection was established. The elderly man saw pain, loneliness, melancholy, desire, strength, potential, and passion in Naruto's eyes, as well as a gentle strength full of wisdom and experience. "Sorry to interrupt, but I wandered off my normal route to my apartment after dinner and just wanted to check it out," Naruto stammered out after the brief moment of connection. The elderly man exclaimed, "Ah, be my guest then." Naruto was astounded by the quantity of scrolls as well as the assortment of swords and armor that he saw while browsing the shop. The old man's words, "Hey young one, I couldn't help but notice that in your eyes held great disappointment and a whole range of other emotions. Did something happen today, young one?" forced him to break out of his state of amazement. Naruto thought he could trust the elderly man for an unknown reason. Yes, feeling totally secure in the old man's company, Naruto answered, "I failed the ninja graduation exam for the second time in a row." "Must be hard for you, young one." "The boy laughed sarcastically. "That it was just a typical episode in my life, old man. I have nothing, old man. I am shunned and ignored by the entire village and I don't know why. I don't have any parents. The closest thing I have to a family is the Hokage, Iruka, Sensei, Tuchi and Ayame. My life has been nothing but one failure after another. The kids in the academy have everything. Family, friends and a place to call home. It makes me angry," the boy said. Jealousy is a truly dangerous emotion. It causes people to do all sorts of cruel things to get what they want, and it is the reason behind your village-wide pranks. They're just your way of forcing the village to acknowledge you. It is only natural for a child to long for the warmth and love of their parents, to be cared for and nurtured. However, you have failed to realize that there are people who love and care about you. This Gigi you speak about, Iruka, Sensei, Old Man Tuchi and your Nei, Chan. Though they may not give you want, they give you what you need, and that is acknowledgement. They cheer you up when you are down, and always have kind words to offer, yet you stand before me here in this place and you have turned your back on their support to you. If it is one thing you must learn young is that life is not fair and we do not get to choose our lot in life. Crying, whining, jealousy and anger will get you nowhere." Again, Naruto was taken aback. He saw smiles on the faces of Old Man Tuchi, Ayame, Sandame, and Iruka in his imagination. All the times they lifted his spirits when he was low, and all the sweet grins and comforting remarks. He was wallowing in self-pity while they were always there for him. The sound of the elderly man's voice startled him out of his thoughts. "Never be jealous, for we don't know the true extent of any given situation. Just as you are wishing to be like those kids, some of them may be wishing to be you. Free of clan obligations and routines, free to just be themselves and not the image of their clan. Jealousy breeds hate because you want what another has and cannot get it, you begin to resent him for it. In resentment, the desire to take it from him gives rise to all manners of devious plots and twisted plans to acquire that which is not yours. Jealousy breeds hatred and resentment, which in turn leads to war. Many of the world's greatest and devastating wars have been started over jealousy and lust for power." He carried the man's words with him always. Right now, all he could do was listen. There was nothing more he could say or do. We never know what another is truly going through. They may look happy and sure on the outside, but on the inside they're dying. We envy those with power and prestige, but they are often not happy. They worry about holding on to their power and ensuring that they remain in power. They see themselves as above everyone else and don't respond to the plight of the weak. They are constantly in battle, because everyone else wants their power and thus fights them for it. They could never have enough power, prestige, and wealth, more and more until their greed consumes them and everything around them. They no longer see people as human beings, but as tools, servants and commodities that are expendable. Yet oftentimes people wish to be just like them, to be in their shoes, to enjoy the so-called finer things in life. Never be jealous, young one, for we do not know what Kami has in store for us and we lose sight of the things that are the most valuable in life. But it's difficult not to feel jealous and resentful, old man, the boy said, gathering his thoughts after his brief outburst. The boy's lack of respect for him made the old man laugh. Ah, the brashness of youth, he thought. He is the one, my student, there is no doubt about that. My master told me that I would meet you one day. The boy asked, looking genuinely perplexed. What are you talking about, old man? Meet me. You see, I follow the way of the warrior, young one, or as the samurai like to call it, Bushido. On his deathbed, my father, my master told me that I would meet a child and that I will or should train him in the way of the warrior. I am 11 years old, and I am not a child, exclaimed the boy. Ah, but you are young one, old man. As I was saying, my master told me that I would meet a child who carries a great burden and would become a great warrior. And you are saying that this you are speaking about is me? Asked Naruto. Yes, that is correct, young one. Quit playing around, old man. I am a dropout, a failure, a nobody. The elderly man grinned. What's so funny, old man? The man said, one moment, young one, and turned to leave his shop. He came back a few minutes later carrying a bottle and a glass of water. What do you see? The boy asked as he held up the glass. An empty glass, old man. What are you up to? The elderly man remained silent, then he poured water into the glass. What do you see now, young one? A full glass of water, Naruto answered, attempting to decipher the man's actions. Good. Now what would happen if the glass was already full and I poured water into it? It would overflow, the inquisitive boy answered. You say you are a dropout, a failure, a no good. Thus you are empty like that glass once was. However, the only way for the glass to be filled was for it to be empty, no other way. You, young one, are the perfect pupil. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Being empty, you can now be filled. A failure you may be at the shinobi arts, but there is more to life, there is a bigger picture to be seen. The boy was shocked and asked, a bigger picture? He was told he was the ideal student, but the instructors at the academy wouldn't concur. Yes. If focus only on the leaf, you miss the tree. If you focus on the tree, you miss the forest. If focus only on the forest, you miss the world. You must learn to see everything in its entirety. Everything can be found here, pointing towards the boy's heart. If your heart is preoccupied, your sword will not be true, and if your sword is not true, you will die in battle. Do not be preoccupied with a single thing. Learn to see everything in its entirety, effortlessly. That is what it means to truly see. You are preoccupied with the village's actions toward you and the possessions of others. You are distracted and vulnerable. A fly could kill you right now if it wanted to. The man said something that amazed Naruto. He was met with a sudden splash of water in his face. Hey, old man, what was that for? You let your guard down. You were preoccupied with my words. When the man's words came to pass, Naruto was astounded. A pat on the head welcomed him. Ah, what was that for now? You were preoccupied with the practical application of what I said. You were stunned because they were not mere words that I was speaking. The boy remained attentive this time. Yes, old man. The boy remained vigilant, and the old man grinned. Good, you are beginning to understand. As I was saying, the way of the warrior is one of courage, benevolence, politeness, sincerity, honor, loyalty, and self-control. But I am a ninja, and ninja and samurai are totally different. That they are, young one, that they are, the elderly man chuckled. So you are a samurai, huh, old man? Yes, I am. However, a true warrior is not concerned about titles and status, nor is he concerned about what others think of him. A true warrior does not act on customary beliefs but searches out the truth himself and walks his own path dictated by him and no other. A true warrior is one who is master of himself. A master of himself? Yes, young one. You are too young to see it, but you are held in a chain by the people of the village. Your strong desire for them to acknowledge your existence gives them tremendous control over you. Your village-wide pranks, though well thought out and comical, is a desperate attempt on your part for the village to acknowledge your existence. You depend on their reactions. You even count on it because that is how your existence is made real. As the boy heard the truth about what he had done, a stinging sensation appeared in his chest. The old man's words stuck to him like glue. The man's words hurt like hell, but there was no evil intent behind them. It was very difficult for him to accept the truth. What would happen if he did? With nothing more to prove his existence, he would genuinely cease to exist. His thoughts and feelings were racing through his head when a soft voice broke through the mental fog. Fear not, young one, for what you are experiencing now can be overcome. You have placed the chain around your own neck, but you can take it off just as you put it on. There was this warrior who was said to be undefeatable in battle, and he was known throughout the lands as the Kensai or Sword Saint because of his mastery in wielding two blades simultaneously in battle. He had vast experience in the ways of the blade, tactics and war, and upon sensing that his life was soon coming to an end, he began writing about all that he had learned in his travels and battles. It is said that he achieved peace in a lifetime of war. Would you like to read what this great warrior had to say? I think that it would be of great benefit, especially for you, young one. Naruto was intrigued by what he heard and momentarily forgot about his situation. He wished he could read what this warrior had to say. Yes, I would very much like to read what this man had to say about life, war, and tactics. The man said, "Wait a moment, young one," and went to get the item from behind his store. A moment later, he reappeared holding a small, plainly designed scroll that was unremarkable in size. Before I give you this scroll, I must warn you that it will be unlike anything you have ever read before and requires a deep contemplation and examination. It will change your outlook on life and your life forever. It will help you achieve peace and to walk your own path in life. Are willing to take such a risk, young one? Naruto considered the offer carefully. He really had nothing to lose right now. It was worth a try if it could give him some peace of mind. At the very least, he could read it and find out what the man had to say. He said, "Very well then, young one," and gave the boy the scroll. It said, "The Path of Solitude, by Dakodo." This scroll consists of 20.1 precepts written by the Kensai in preparation for his death. It expresses a stringent, honest, and ascetic view of life. You see, for it is only in death that you can find the true meaning of life. Read the words and contemplate them deeply, and if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Naruto said, "Hi," and he accepted the scroll. With a smile on his face, the elderly blonde departed, aware that the world of ninjas would never be the same. In the presence of Naruto now, Naruto's only thought was about the scroll, so he hurried to his apartment to read the unique scroll the old man had given him. Upon arriving at his apartment, he unfolded the scroll while reclined in bed. He was deeply moved by the scroll's name and sensed that something about it would alter his course in life. The scroll was compact and uncomplicated, with 20.1 brief sayings on it. They were: 1. Accept everything just the way it is. 2. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. 3. Do not, under any circumstances, depend on a partial feeling. 4. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. 5. Be detached from desire your whole life long. 6. Do not regret what you have done. 7. Never be jealous. 8. Never let yourself be saddened by a separation. 9. Resentment and complaint are appropriate neither for oneself nor others. 10. Do not let yourself be guided by the feeling of lust or love. 11. In all things have no preferences. 12. Be indifferent to where you live. 13. Do not pursue the taste of good food. 14. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. 15. Do not act following customary beliefs. 16. Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful. 17. Do not fear death. 18. Do not seek to possess either goods or fiefs for your old age. 19. Respect Buddha and the gods without counting on their help. 20. You may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor. 21. Never stray from the way. The scroll's words struck Naruto like a lightning bolt because they summed up everything he had ever done. He was bursting at the seams with desires. He had a wide range of tastes, enjoyed delicious food, yearned for attention, and lived up to the villagers' ideals. He frequently complained to Gigi and harbored resentment and jealousy toward the academy students who excelled academically and had families. He was thrown into a state of confusion because he didn't know if he could accomplish such an amazing feat, and these were very difficult things to give up. He would see the old man again tomorrow, so he decided not to dwell on it too much. After such a hectic day, he made the decision to retire early in order to help his mind unwind. The following morning, following his ramen for breakfast, Naruto headed over to the elderly man's shop. With caution, he stepped inside and yelled, "Hey, old man, you there, it's me, Naruto." With a soft smile, the elderly man emerged from his room's back once more. It wasn't so much a question as it was a statement. "You have much questions, young one." "Yes. I don't understand any of this. They go against everything I have known all my life." The old man smiled a gentle smile. "I told you that those words would be unlike anything you ever read before. It contradicts everything we were taught while growing up. I too, when my master gave me this scroll, felt the very same way. Come, let us talk," motioning for the young one to enter. Naruto couldn't help but be amazed at the man's modest home's simplicity as they entered through the back. "Hey old man, is this all you have? Come have a seat." After they settled in, he said, "Yes, I only carry what I need, and nothing more. I have a proposition for you. Would you like to hear it?" Yeah, why not?" Naruto asked with a perplexed expression on his face. "How would you like to be my apprentice?" Naruto was utterly shocked to hear this news. Other than the elderly Hokage, no one had ever given him anything in his life. He was extremely wary of people who offered him goods because they were constantly attempting to harm him. Why is this some kind of trick? The man, unfazed by the boy's little outburst, uttered, "No, it is not," in an entirely composed voice. "I would like to train you in the way of the warrior. My master told me that one day a student will appear before me and that I am to teach him the way of the warrior. He also told me that I need not go searching for the student, because he will show up when the time is right. I believe that you are the student that I am to pass on the way of the warrior to." The old man's revelation caused the young boy's eyes to widen, but they dropped quickly. "Will I still be able to become a ninja?" he asked. "I am sorry, the path of the warrior and the path of the shinobi are as different as the night is to the day. As I said before, the way of the warrior is one of courage, benevolence, politeness, sincerity, honor, loyalty and self-control. Whereas the path of the shinobi is one of sabotage, assassination, infiltration and espionage. You must choose one or the other. In choosing the path of the warrior, you may very well have to give up your dream of being Hokage." Naruto became frozen upon learning the truth. Give up his desire to become Hokage, asking himself, "Do I want to give up my dream?" He pondered. I need to think about this, old man." "Very well, young one, you are right for thinking this over, for this is a big decision for you." Naruto said, "Yeah, I will talk to you sometime," as he left the elderly man's shop cautiously. Afterwards, atop the Hokage monument. As Naruto sat atop the Hokage monument, the village's night lights were starting to come on as night fell. "The village has avoided me my entire life. I've consistently struggled with the foundational curriculum. Perhaps I am not suited to be a ninja. Perhaps my calling is in the warrior's way. Perhaps, apart from the never-ending battle for recognition, I could find some mental tranquility. Do I want to walk in the warrior's footsteps? Do you want to lead an honorable, devoted, and restrained life?" Then, his thoughts returned to the scroll Dakodo, which represents the path of solitude and should be followed alone. The old man's adage, "If you focus on a single spot, you will miss everything else," also resurfaced in his thoughts. Is there more to life than being Hokage? Have I been so preoccupied with being Hokage that I am looking past everything else? The young boy thought to himself as he made his way back to the apartment. To see everything in its entirety, that is what it truly means to see. The following day, Naruto went to see the Sandaime to discuss his encounter with the elderly man. With a serious tone, the boy asked, "Hey Gigi, what's up?" "Hello. Naruto-kun, what seems to be the problem?" "Gigi, I don't think I want to be a ninja anymore." "What? Gigi, I failed the exam twice in a row and I can't even do the basic bunshin." "That's no reason to give up, Naruto. I could get extra tutoring for you with Iruka." "I am not giving up, Gigi. I met this old man and he wants to teach me the way of the warrior and I want to learn it. I don't want to be a ninja." "What about your dream to be Hokage, Naruto?" "I don't know anymore. There are too many things that I don't know about. I don't know why I am shunned by the villagers and I don't know who my parents are and the constant put-downs and jeers by the students in the class." A worried Sandaime questioned, "The way of the warrior? Who is this man?" "He runs an old scroll shop in the Minsha district." "Very well, Naruto, if that is what you truly want, but I will have to inform the council of this development. Also, I will need to meet with this man." "Thanks, Gigi. I have one last question for you, Naruto, before you depart." "What is it, Gigi? What is your current attitude toward Konoha?" "Konoha will always be my home, and I will fight to keep what is important to me safe. but not as a Konoha shinobi. Very well then, you really are surprising. You know that Naruto. Yeah, Gigi, I know. Later on in the evening at Sensei's former store. Sensei began to speak while still engrossed in his book in his dimly lit room. You can come on out now, Sarutobi. All are welcomed in my humble abode, Sensei said. I sense that you care deeply for the boy, for the Hokage of Konoha to pay me a personal visit in the middle of the night, Sarutobi said, emerging from a dark corner of the room and standing in front of the elderly man. Although, I am not as dangerous as you make me out to be. Why did you ask him to be your apprentice? According to Naruto. The moment Sarutobi laid eyes on the man, he saw power and skill. This was no ordinary shop owner. The Hokage asked, not replying to the friendly banter of the elderly man in front of him. The man said, I had no choice. He was prepared to walk the path. How are you aware of this? My master and I experienced the same thing. In his final moments, my father, who was my master, told me that I would meet a child who would bear a heavy load. He informed me that we are going to witness a great war unlike anything we have ever seen. A great war? Sarutobi questioned. A great war, and that child will be the focal point of that war. Are you certain about this? Sarutobi questioned in a serious tone. As I said before, they are the words of a dying man. The boy was ready, and thus he found his way to me. You must understand, Sarutobi-san, that what he is about to learn is much more than about sword techniques and strategy. What he is about to learn is more than about any particular profession. He is going to learn the most important thing that a warrior must know about before every technique, every strategy, and every battle. And what is that? Himself, said the old man. He needs to learn about himself before he can learn about the ways of war. He must learn his strengths and weaknesses. He must learn how to turn his weaknesses into strengths and to hide his strengths so that his enemies will not be able to discover them. There is a saying that goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you need not fear the outcome of 1,000 battles. Before I teach him any techniques, he must accept himself for who he is, and his life for what it is. Sandame became very cold-eyed. You know of his burden? Yes, I know that he holds the Kyuubi within him, the man calmly replied. It is a great burden for one so young, but life was not known to be forgiving or fair, and he must accept that. The Hokage's murderous intent started to surface as he became serious once more. He knows too much about this man to not have to kill him. With a chilly tone, Sarutobi questioned, how do you know this? I must warn you to choose your words carefully, for I may have to take your life, for you know too much classified information. You may very well be a threat to my village. It is rather obvious if one pays attention and knows the general history of Konoha. General history? The Sandame asked, maintaining his stony expression. I have traveled to many lands and learned many things. I know of the history of war between the elemental nations and everything that came along with the wars. But we both know that the information in those books that we go in order to learn history are not really accurate. The Kyuubi is, a beast of immense power and malevolence. Such a beast cannot be simply defeated or killed. The only way to defeat such a beast is to seal it or contain it in some form or fashion. Now, sealing such a beast in an inanimate object is useless because the beast will just break free. Such a beast needs to be contained in a living entity, something to tie its life force to in order to chain and control it. That leaves 3 options. Option 1, seal it into a fully grown human. However, his is not a good option because an adult is already fully grown and developed and rigid in both mind and body. Thus the evil chakra of the beast would overwhelm the body, killing the container and setting the beast free. Sarutobi was listening to this very well. Reasoned and rational conclusion from the man. Option 2, the man continued. Seal the monster into a teenager. With this option the result would be the same as option 1. The process of being indoctrinated in the ways of the world has already began for such an individual, and thus they would be unable to contain the beast. The third and final option, the only way to safely contain the beast, was to seal it into a newborn child whose body and mind has not yet developed and would be able to adapt to and deal with the entity that was placed in it. The beast's rampage through the land of fire caused the deaths of many brave ninjas who willingly gave their lives to protect their village from total annihilation. Pain is an emotion that people love to hold on to and use it as an excuse to inflict much damage to others, claiming a sense of superiority because of the pain they feel. I have seen how the young boy is treated by the villagers, and though their pain is understandable, that is no excuse to treat a young child in such a manner. I am starting to wonder what made Konoha such a great village in the first place. Sandame had no choice but to accept the old man's perfect logic. One could easily figure it out if they really paid attention. It might even be said to be Konoha's most public S-class secret. The other question was directed at the elderly man and asked, what exactly are you going to teach him? As he told you, I am teaching him in the ways of war. Also, I am going to pass down my sword style to him. What is the name of this sword style? Inquired the third once more, growing somewhat interested in this little story. The sword style I am going to teach him is called taijutsu. He is going to learn how to wield two blades at the same time. Its techniques are passed down from master to student from the school of Ni-10 Ichi-Ryu, the school of the two heavens as one. The style was developed by a man known as the Kensai. He will be my successor in the style. The words, sword saint, stuck in Sandame's memory for an unknown reason. It was as though he had heard or read those words before. Then, thinking back to what he had just heard, he said to himself, very well then, I will allow you to teach Naruto, however I will be keeping a close eye on you. Do as you wish, Sandame.san. But before you go I have a question for you. What is it? The Sandame asked, keeping his back to the man in front of him. Why have you not told the boy that his father is the Yondaime Hokage and that he holds the Kyuubi within him? Any idiot with enough brain cells could see that the boy is the spitting image of the Yondaime Hokage, replied the old man. Although, it is a little less obvious the Yondaime was an honorable man and would not allow other family to bear such a burden. Sandame was debating whether or not to kill the man at this very moment because he was far too knowledgeable about the darkest secrets of Konoha. Still, he considered how fearlessly and freely the man had shared the information with him. Telling the truth to your enemies is a great way to lower their defenses, but it could also be a trap. On the other hand, the man's knowledge was readily obtained by straightforward observation. Then, his thoughts turned to Naruto, who had at last found someone who was prepared to spend time teaching him. Sarutobi sensed no malice in the man's words or demeanor, even though the boy was desperate for attention and the man was a fountain of knowledge and wisdom. This man would teach Naruto a lot. The information is being withheld from him as per the request from his father until the time is right. Ah, that is understandable. The Yondaime had many enemies both within and without Konoha. If the kid is not mature enough, he would go opening his big mouth throughout Konoha that his father is the Yondaime to stick to the fools who have ignored him. It would be a twisted way of getting back at them for all that they have done, or not done to him. He needs to be mature and strong to accept that information. When his heritage is revealed, the whole of Iwa will be at his throat. But why not his burden? He may be better off knowing why he is treated the way he is treated. It may make things easier for him, and better yet if it comes from you, a man who he trusts and looks up to for support. The man was observed by the Sandame. The man was strong, intelligent, and extremely perceptive. You are correct. The Yondaime was not particularly well liked by the men of Iwa and to a lesser extent Kumo. The secrecy is for the boy's protection. As it concerns his burden, it may or may not make things easier, but that is my decision to make. You do not give the boy much credit. He is a lot more perceptive than he looks. He will be better off learning the truth earlier rather than later. He will be great someday and name will be known throughout the elemental nations. He will fight many battles as many will try to prove their superiority, to test their mettle against him. He will push those around him to go beyond their limits. He will be their benchmark, the measure by which they observe their progress. However, it will all come to naught because they are not following their own path. For what seemed like hours, the two elderly men held each other's gaze while the night was silent. You need not worry about that, it is not your concern. With a glare in his eyes, Sarutobi said, I will have my eyes on you. The elderly man said, do what you wish, without displaying any fear at all. After leaving, Sarutobi vanished back into the darkness. The following day with the Sandame, searching for information on the Ni-10 Ichi-Ryu style and the Kensai that the man in the small shop had told him about, Sarutobi was in his personal library. In order to have enough time for his search, he had cancelled all of his appointments for the morning. There was a reason the Sandame was referred to as the professor among shinobi. He had an insatiable thirst for knowledge. He had acquired a vast library of knowledge regarding both shinobi and non-shinobi techniques. Among those he learned a little bit were samurai techniques. Reaching the desk in his library, he started looking for information about the Kensai and eventually found a book titled The History of the Samurai. After locating the data, he started to read. In the world of samurai, the Kensai, also known as the Sword Saint, was a legendary man with unmatched sword skills. He founded Ni-10 Ichi Ryu, a traditional Japanese swordsmanship style also referred to as the school of the strategy of two heavens as one. The primary focus of Ni-10 Ichi Ryu is the two sword katana, wakizashi kenjutsu techniques, which he named Nito. Ichi, meaning two swords as one, or Night and Ichi, meaning two heavens as one. The Book of Five Rings, also known as Go-Rin no Sho, is a text on kenjutsu and the martial arts in general that was written by him. Being a very serious man, he never allowed his students to show off their technical prowess because he thought that technique was just a means of defeating the opposition. He thought that his tactic could be applied in both close quarters and large-scale conflicts. He thought that practicing everything thoroughly was preferable to just reading books. In his writings, he describes how there are various aspects of combat, much like there are various physical aspects of existence. He asked, "When you have reached this point, will it not mean that you are invincible?" Because he thought that once they mastered the strategy and timing as described in the 5 books, they would be able to defeat 10 men as easily as they could defeat one. He held that someone who has mastered numerous art forms outside of sword playing is a true warrior and a true strategist. It is reported that he had never lost a fight before his death. Sarutobi was lost in thought after reading the brief biography of the man referred to as the Kensei among the samurai community. The man mentioned that he and his master met in the same way, so if this is what Naruto is going to learn from him. After that, Naruto would study under what was arguably the greatest samurai of all time. The man was right when he said that Naruto has a lot of potential. There's no doubt that the ninja world will never be the same. Afterwards, with Sensei and Naruto, later that day. "Have you come to a decision, young one?" "Yes, I accept your offer." "Very well then, but I must warn you. A warrior is one who studies the art of war. He is a student of war and seeks to learn everything about it, and he thirsts for its knowledge and application. You must know that this training, just like the scroll, will be unlike anything you have done before. It will be rigorous and very harsh. I will not spare you for even a moment. In choosing to be a student of war, you have chosen to enter into a world of violence, pain and death. I will push you to the limits of your body, mind and spirit, and I will not be kind. With this teaching you will be able to face any hardship and overcome it." There was a fierce determination on Naruto's face. "I will not back down, this is my choice." "Okay, young one. In the scroll there are 21 precepts that you must contemplate before we move forward with your training. Each day I will explain to you each precept in order, and you will spend the rest of the day contemplating the precept. There is much for you to learn, but we shall take our time. Don't expect to understand every precept, for that is impossible for any person to do in just 21 days. The boy said, "Yes, sensei," in a tone that was grave and determined. "Good, take the rest of the day off and meet me tomorrow to begin your training." In the afternoon, later that day, at the council meeting. Along with the civilian council, Sarutobi occupied the head of the council chamber, which was occupied by the heads of all the major clans. Given that it involved the village of Jinchuriki, he was aware that this would be an extremely difficult situation to handle. Every problem involving the village Jinchuriki was guaranteed to turn messy. "I have an important announcement to make, and it concerns Uzumaki Naruto." The whole council fell silent at the mention of Naruto. The boy's pranks are usually the only thing that are mentioned, so this must be something significant that they all considered. Sandaime handles those most of the time. Uzumaki Naruto does not wish to be a ninja of Konoha. The declaration sent the council into disarray. Koharu inquired, "What is the meaning of this, Sarutobi? He has no choice but to become a shinobi." To which the Sandaime replied, "First of all, it is Sandaime Sama to you, Koharu, and to everyone else for that matter. You all may be on the council, but I am the Hokage, don't ever forget that. Secondly, he does have a choice. What do you think will happen if we force him to do something against his will? He is a very stubborn boy, and once his mind is set on something, there is no turning it back." A council member from the civilian side remarked, "Well, if that is the case, Sandaime Sama, then he should be executed. He is of no use to the village." The other members of the civilian council murmured their agreement to this. "No such thing will be taking place in this village. He is a child despite the burden he bears. He has been ostracized by the village and no longer has the will to be a shinobi of Konoha. This is a sad day, for he had the potential to be one of the greatest shinobi to have ever come out of Konoha. The boy's spirit is broken, and there is no one to blame but the village and thus myself. We have let our ignorance, anger and pain guide our actions for too long, and thus we have lost a great shinobi. So what will his course of action be then, Sandaime Sama? No doubt he needs some form of training," inquired Aburame Shibi, the head of the Aburame clan. "Yes, you are right, Shibi-san. He wishes to follow the way of the warrior. He believes that he may find some measure of peace with himself in such a path." The head of the Nara clan, Nara Shikaku, questioned, "He wishes to follow the way of the samurai?" The Sandaime answered, "Yes." The leader of the Inuzuka clan, Inuzuka Sume, questioned, "This is a ninja village, not a samurai village. Who is going to teach him the way of the samurai? He has been asked to be apprenticed to a samurai living in this very village, A very powerful one, I might add. Who is this man? Inquired Hiyashi, who was sincerely curious about this new development and the head of the Hyuga clan. His name is Mayushi Miyamoto, son and heir to the legendary samurai Masashi Miyamoto, founder of the Nidan-ichi Ryu style of swordsmanship. Miyamoto was known simply as the Sword Saint because of his mastery with the blade. In death he was said to be undefeated in battle. His eldest son has inherited his father's teachings. Danzo questioned, the school of the two heavens as one. Why the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? After learning that the creator of the fighting style Naruto would be learning was unbeaten in combat. This is the disturbing part. His father that a great war will occur and that Naruto would be the focal point of this war. Many lives will depend on him. War! Exclaimed everyone. The head of the Hyuga clan, Hiyashi, inquired, when will this war occur? I don't not know Hyuga-san, however. Konoha has been living with the threat of war for a long time now. I will get in contact with my errant pupil Jiraiya, he may have some useful information for us. Yes, Jiraiya is our foremost spy master, his information will be valuable about any possible threats, said Nara Shikaku. The head of the Akamichi clan, Akamichi Choza, questioned, yes, that is true, but what about the little boy's status in the village right now? Remarkably, he is still loyal to a village that has brought nothing but pain to him in his young life. There are grown men who lack that kind of fortitude. As I said before, in its ignorance Konoha has lost a great shinobi. Regretfully, one member of the civilian side of the council chose to take a deadly wrong turn on the council's journey. He has no choice to love this village, we gave him everything he has. We own him and he has due to do what we tell him. The shinobi council knew that the idiot had just made a grave mistake, as evidenced by the silence that descended upon the council chamber. The fact that the most valuable person in the village did not want to be a shinobi already infuriated the Sandame. With his current attitude, the Sandame is not someone to be trifled with. Clearly, the civilian council requires a lesson in manners because you have gone far beyond your authority. May I remind you that this is a military matter and not within your purview. Additionally, this is a shinobi village, not a merchant's fair, so you have no business interfering in shinobi affairs. Accordingly, I am enacting a new law today. All council sessions will be divided into two sections. One for the village's civilian affairs and the other for shinobi affairs. After the civilian reports are finished and all issues have been resolved, the civilian council will promptly exit the chamber, and the shinobi council will then start its meeting. You are incapable of doing that, stated an additional civilian council member. Who says what? Asked the Sandame, barely concealing his intent to kill, in a very irate voice. The councillor did not respond. I believe that. Everyone in favor of passing this legislation? Along with the shinobi portion of the council, the Hokage's advisors also supported the bill, giving it a clear majority. The civilian council did not even get a chance to raise their hands. The deed was done. All of the shinobi council members raised their hands, with the exception of Inuzuka Sume, who raised both hands because she has never liked the civilian council. Amid much protest, the Sandame said, "Good," gesturing to the Anbu to escort the civilian portion of the council out of the chamber. The remaining members of the council had differing reactions when the civilian council was led out of the room. The heads of departments, Inoichi and Choza, were grinning. He received unreadable nods of approval from Hiyashi, Shibi, and Shikaku from his advisors. It's about damn time, Sandame Sama, declared Inuzuka Sume, and everyone agreed with her in their own unique way. For far too long, the civilian council has meddled in shinobi affairs. With everyone's full attention, the Sandame responded, yes they have, now resuming. As I said before, he is still very much loyal to Konoha and thus he will be part of our military, albeit in a rather unique way, he said. What do you want to suggest, Sandame Sama? Asked Yamanaka Inoichi, the Yamanaka clan's leader. I suggest using him as an additional shinobi force aide, filling in for teams that are lacking a member for specific missions. He will defend the village just like any other shinobi would if it comes under attack. What about his command structure? Abrahame Shibi inquired. The command structure will remain unchanged. He will do as his Chunin and Jonin superiors and I, of course, say. The shinobi council laughed out loud. This was turning into one of the most engaging council sessions in a long time. The following day, Naruto reached the old man's store at 5 in the afternoon. He said, "Hey sensei, I'm here." With his ever-present kind smile, the elderly man emerged from the rear of his shop and said, Good young one, let us begin. The first lesson is to accept things as they are. It's a common misconception that we have control over our lives, but this couldn't be further from the reality. If you stop to consider it, we have no control over the sun's rise and set, the ocean's tides, a baby's birth, or life and death. When we refuse to accept things as they are, we find it difficult to deal with situations that unfold in their own time and manner. The same is true of war. We have no control over our adversary's strength, numbers, timing of attacks, or level of expertise. We might face an opponent in combat who is more skilled, less skilled, or about equal skill. We will have to defend ourselves at times and launch attacks at others. Plans and circumstances can work out flawlessly at times, or they can go horribly wrong. We can never predict the course of events in life, including when or where they will occur. Saying that we accept everything the way it is means that we concede that we have no control over the circumstances and that we should accept things as they are without pushing for our own agendas or attempting to exert control. That allows us to take the appropriate action, to do what needs to be done at that precise moment. Even though we might experience hurt and losses, we will be at peace and not look back. We can find peace when we accept things as they are and, by extension, accept ourselves as we are. Calmness leads to peace, and a composed warrior is nearly unbeatable in combat. How do I behave properly, sensei? With a solemn tone, the boy questioned. You will know it when you have created it, the old man answered. Your lesson for today is this. Following his first instruction. After his first lesson that evening, Naruto went to the Hokage monument to reflect on what his new sensei had taught him. As he sat atop the Yondaime's head and gazed down at the village, the harsh remarks, accusing looks, and accusations of the villagers suddenly returned to his mind. This is my life, he declared, adding, I don't know why, but I will always be ignored and treated rudely. My parents, who perished in the Kyuubi attack while defending the village and me, are unknown to me. They gave it their all in the fight because they thought my life and the lives of the villagers were valuable. Jiji, Uruka, Tuchi, and Ayame are still the people who look out for me. My parents were heroes. I have to train and get stronger because I can't let go of everything they've given me. And so the life of a man who would become a global celebrity began. The forest of death and life. Later that evening, Naruto was sitting calmly in front of Sensei. You have done well, and I see that you are beginning to take some of the words to heart. Your road will be a long and difficult one. As a student of war, and thus you will have to face many trials, but each will make you better as you go along. These precepts cannot be learnt, only lived. I have simply given you an explanation of the precepts, and each will manifest itself in one way or another during the course of your life. You need to be alert to when these moments arise. Do not rush and do not force the timing of the lessons. Hi, old man, was the boy's respectful reply. Now I am going to teach you the principles of Go-Rin no Sho, or the Book of Five Disciplines, and I will also be teaching you Nitojutsu based on the Niten Ichi Ryu style of Kenjutsu. Go-Rin no Sho is a collection of 5 principles written by my master and father on the ways of war, tactics and life. It consists of 5 principles that correspond to the elements of nature: wind, water, earth, fire and void. Listen well. In the way of the shinobi, the 5 basic elements are wind, water, earth, fire, and lightning. However, the element lightning is actually a sub-element in the true elemental wheel. These elements can be used as parallels of human nature. Some people are free-spirited just like the wind, and they cannot be contained or controlled, only guided. Others are tranquil and calm just like water. They are gentle and provide no obstruction to the things that happen around them. Others yet are stubborn and unmoving as the earth, and they are not easily swayed and are very headstrong and resistant to change. While some people are volatile and passionate as fire, their desires are great and it burns within them. A precious few people are as empty as void. They are still and empty, yet they exude a fullness of life that is hard to explain. I have been fortunate in my long life to have met such a man. In his presence, my life became insignificant. Naruto was completely engrossed by the old man's words. He was full of knowledge and wisdom. He and Jiji would make great friends, the boy thought. However, life is a circle, and thus the wind calms down, the water is muddied, the earth crumbles, the fire is quelled, but void remains the same. The same can be said for war and life. Nations rise, nations fall. The weak become strong and the strong become weak. In order to truly understand, to truly master the way of war, you must understand the elements of life and how to wield their principles in battle. You have to know when to be unpredictable as the wind, fluid as water, stubborn as the earth, passionate as fire, and as empty as void. But know that these states will fade, for nothing lasts forever in war and in life. Naruto listened intently as his master spoke. The first discipline is the discipline of earth, and we shall be studying this discipline until you have understood the concepts fully. The earth is unmoving and strong. Bury these teachings in every cell of your body. Make these teachings within you as unmoving as the earth. Listen well, young one. Know the smallest things and the biggest things, the shallowest things and the deepest things, as if it were a straight road mapped out on the ground. These things cannot be explained in detail. From one thing, know 10,000 things. When you attain the way of strategy, there will not be one thing you cannot see. You must study hard. Why not just learn the important things, old man? The smallest things are useless. All that matters is the end result. The small stuff doesn't count in the long run. Oh yes, young one. The smallest things do count and are often more than the end result. The oak is the mightiest of trees, but it grows from the smallest of seeds, does it not? Yes, but what does that have to do with knowledge and strategy? Oftentimes, the smallest details separate the victor and the dead in battle. The mighty oak would not be what it is without the tiny seed. The same can be said of battle. The loser probably did not take into consideration the location of the battle and weather. They may have overestimated themselves or underestimated their enemies and paid the price in defeat. Always remember that the greatest complexity at its root is utterly simple. Okay, old man. The boy said, not entirely convinced by the man's words. Now follow me. The old man stood up, grabbed his cane and began walking out of the store, and Naruto silently followed. As the two made their way through the sparsely populated streets, the people couldn't help but be awed by the young boy following silently behind the old man with his cane. Some sneered and made rude comments. One villager made a particularly rude comment which elicited an angry response from the boy, which resulted in him getting whacked on his head by the old man. Oh, what was that for, old man? His ire rose even further as some of the villagers started to laugh at him. You became distracted by your anger and your thoughts. Keep focused. Those who are easily angered are often the easiest to control and the first do die. Don't become a slave to your anger, young one. Control yourself. That man is just a reflection of your own anger. I didn't do anything, he started it, the boy shouted. No he didn't, you did. This is stupid, old man. He called me a stupid brat, didn't you hear? The boy's anger was beginning to roll out in waves. I am always being blamed for everything, even the things I did not do. I was just walking by and he called me a stupid brat for no reason. Calm down, young one. No, I am not calming down. I am sick and tired of being blamed for everything. By this time the boy was beginning to hyperventilate and the old man could sense minute amounts of the Kyuubi's chakra slowly coming to the surface. The onlooking villagers were surprised at the boy's outburst since it was the first time they had seen him in such a state. The boy always held a happy-go-lucky attitude and always had a smile on his face. The first time they saw the boy's mask drop and they were shocked. There were similar reactions to the onlooking shinobi as well. The old man placed his hand gently on the boy's head. He is not your enemy. Before we began our little walk, where was the man? Who was he? I don't know, the boy stammered, calming down visibly. Exactly, by reacting the way you did you fueled the fire of hatred and made a man you don't even know into an enemy. Your anger would have then turned to rage, and at that point violence is just around the corner. Do you see now? He is just a mirror reflecting your own anger at you. But I didn't do anything, old man. How did I make that man react the way he did? His uncontrolled anger was now replaced by deep curiosity. The pair resumed their journey out of the curious crowd. Above all else, man is a part on nature despite how far away we are moving away from her. All creatures in nature have an innate ability to sense danger, malicious intent, similar emotions. These are all subtle vibrations or energies that only the most sensitive are consciously aware of. However, the presence of these energies are unconsciously felt and acted upon. Make no mistake, young one, on the deepest level, the anger that the man showed came from you. Your intent was lash out and defend yourself, to fight back. He sensed it and reacted accordingly. Do you know what he reacted to? No. By this time they made their way out of the busy commercial area and were heading to the forest. Your fear, young one, that is what he reacted to. My fear? Yes, he sensed your fear. Always remember this, young one. In battle, if you can read your opponent's intent, then they have already won half the battle. Why is that? Simple, in knowing your opponent's intent you can easily predict their actions and react accordingly. How to learn to read another person's intent? The key to reading another person's intent is simple observation. Remember what we spoke about in the beginning. Know the smallest things and the largest? The boy had decency to be embarrassed. Yeah. The small things add up little by little and eventually turn into a big result. I think I get it now. It's like the pieces of a puzzle, the whole is sum of the parts. Exactly, however, just to make sure I have an assignment for you. What? Homework? Yes, you are to study everything about all the elemental nations, beginning with Konoha. You will study their history, economy, political and military structures. Everything to be known about these nations you will learn. That's a lot of work, old man. Well, you should begin as soon as possible. The pair continued to walk until they reached the center of one of the old training grounds. The better you are able to observe, the more you will be able to see. Nature has a secret to tell. Do you think you can discover it? A secret? You certainly don't make things easy. Nothing worthwhile in this life is ever easily obtained. Now, I want you to observe your environment using all of your senses. Observe everything. Feel the wind on your skin, but do not flinch. Take in the aromas around you, but do not reject them. Take in the sights around you, but do not blink. Hear the sounds around, but do not let your concentration waver. Let nothing escape your senses. Observe with your whole body. When you can observe with your whole body, then you will never be caught off guard. We are all subject to the laws of nature. We are a part of nature. Nature contains great wisdom and is always guiding us, but in our haste and quest for power and other material things we miss all the messages that she is sending to us. The movement and sounds of the animals in the forest can alert you the presence of the enemy. Wild animals have a finely honed sense of danger. They walk the tightrope of life and death every day. Every day can be their last. They do not waste time like we do on frivolous things. Some call it a sixth sense or instinct, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that an animal is always aware of its surroundings and automatically knows when danger is nearby. Learn from them and let them guide you. They will not let you down, the old man said. This is the first step, and as your skill in observation increases, the things you can see will begin to deepen. Really? Oh yes, young one. There are wonders in this world that our senses cannot perceive. The power of observation is a key factor in the way of the warrior. You must know your environment like the back of your hand. Your life and the lives of the men you may have under your command depend on it. Take in every aspect of the battlefield. In times of war you may not be able to choose the battlefield. However, you must gain sufficient knowledge of the field in order to effectively maneuver yourself or your men. Always remember that in battle one mistake is all it takes to lose your life and those of your men. For the next 2 hours Naruto stood at the center of the field and struggled to observe with his whole body. At first it was difficult for the young blonde, for his mind, like many other people, was a jumbled mass of random thoughts and images. However, after a while his mind began to calm down and he began to notice things that were not there before. He noticed the lizard crawling on the ground at the base of the rock. He also saw the little jays singing in the trees and the smell of the forest and the feel of the direction of the wind blowing in his hair. As he was concentrating, his master asked, "What direction is the wind blowing?" "It is blowing from the east," the boy replied. "What do you smell in the wind and how does the wind feel?" "I smell the forest, rooting wood, and the fresh smell of the river. I also smell smoke in the air from the village and the body of a rotting animal. The wind feels slightly warm." "What do you see?" "There are lizards crawling about, birds in the trees, there are rabbits running around on the forest floor. There is also a snake coiled up in branch of that large tree over there." "What do you hear?" Once again the boy described what he heard. "I hear the birds chirping, animals rustling in the leaves, the flowing of the river and the waterfall." Once they were finished the old man said, "You have an excellent general sensing abilities. This means I could make things more difficult for you." His heightened senses must be to the Kyuubi. Foxes are known to have excellent senses of sight, smell and hearing. All I need to do is refine his skills. The old man had a dangerous glint in his eyes that made Naruto gulp. Hi, oh old man, but why are you going to make the exercise more difficult?" The answer to that question is simple, young one. In battle there will come a time when one or all of your senses may be impaired and you need to get accustomed to fighting without the aid of one or more than one of your senses. Battle, just as life, is often unforgiving and you need to be prepared for any eventuality. This is often the greatest weakness of Kekkei Genkai users, especially Dujutsu wielders. They are so heavily focused on their Dujutsu that they neglect the other aspects of their training. When they meet an opponent that could nullify or disable their Dujutsu, then they're lost. The greatest fear of a Dujutsu wielder is blindness. "Hi sensei, I understand now. Good. Now since your basic sensing skills are developed I am going to make things a little more difficult for you," the said while walking up to the boy and putting hand on the boy's shoulder. "Hey old man, what you're going to do?" With one deft, downward pull the old man ripped the entire arm off the boy's jumpsuit. Are you senile, old man? That was my favorite jumpsuit. So, that thing was hideous, but don't worry, I have a suitable replacement for you, don't worry. A replacement? I don't trust you, old man. Don't worry, the old man said with a smile. Okay, if you say so, now I want you cover your eyes with that piece of cloth. You mean my jumpsuit? Yes, your jumpsuit. Alright. Alright, old man. The boy said as he covered his eyes waiting on his master's response. Where are you, old man? Old man. Don't tell me you're going to leave. Thwack. The boy was hit by a small rock on his head. Hey, what the hell that was for? Thwack. Thwack, he was hit twice again. Sight is one of the most used of all our senses, he heard the old man say. Listen and feel the attack coming. Naruto stooped his ranting and began to focus. Thwack. Thwack. Thwack, he was hit again. Ah. Focus. The old man said very firmly. Do not allow the pain to drop your guard. Naruto began to focus a little more. Then he heard it, a slight whizzing coming directly at him, and he felt a shift in the air his face. He was too late to react, but he heard it. I heard it, the sound of the rock, and I felt the air as it approached my face. He took hits until all over his body there were bruises, but he was getting closer and closer to dodging the pebbles. As the weeks went by, he was able to dodge the pebbles blindfolded. During that time, the old man systematically took all of the boy's senses away from him. By far the most difficult and the most painful sense for him to practice using was his sense of touch. This is the way Naruto trained for the next 3 months. He observed everything in his environment. The people in the streets, the stores, the trees, the parks, how they walked, talked and expressed themselves. Everything became training for him, from his trips to Ichiraku's ramen stand to sitting in his apartment reading. There were few things that the boy did not observe. Spending so much time in nature, he developed a fondness for it and would return to the forest to study the work that sensei gave him. Other times he would go just be in the presence of the plants and animals of the forest. It was only after Naruto read about the history and current functioning of the nations that he realized how important the little things are. From the small pheasant farmer, to the merchant shops, their contributions added up to become the lifeblood of the nations. One evening while training with sensei, Naruto stood in front of his master in the center of the training field in the outskirts of Konoha with 2 wooden bakken in hand. They were the length of the standard katana, which was approximately 60 centimeters. They were about to begin the second stage of his training. He had changed his clothing at the behest of the old man since he ripped his favorite jumpsuit. He now wore a simple, pure black kimono with an orange spiral at the back. The old man commented that he looked good in the new outfit, and Naruto grudgingly admitted that it was comfortable. Today we are going to begin the second stage of your training, and the next discipline that you are going to learn is the discipline of water. Naiden Ichi Ryu and the taijutsu. Before we begin, can you tell me what is off about this scenery, young one? Hi sensei. There is a hidden ninja in the large tree 2 o'clock my direction. How did you discover the location of the shinobi? When the shinobi arrived, 2 birds darted out the tree, chirping frantically. At first I thought it was a predator, possibly a snake, but I didn't see any, and then I saw the edge of their shinobi sandals just outside the bark. The old man seemed very pleased. You have done very well, your powers of observation have developed greatly. With the formerly hidden Anbu, the Anbu stood stock still, shocked beyond belief that she was spotted by the old man and the blonde boy. She looked at her feet pointing just outside. Shit. She was an Anbu, an elite. If he is able to do this at this age, then when he gets older, Hokage Sama will be interested in this development. Back with Naruto and Sensei, water is a powerful element that can destroy in one single crashing flood or gradually eroding the obstacle. Water is the very existence of adaptation. It changes according to the situation. Thus in battle you will must become like water and adapt to the situation. Naiden Ichi Ryu, the school of the 2 heavens as one, has its basis in strategy and timing. The first 10, heaven, in strategy your spiritual bearing must not be any different from normal. Both in fighting and in everyday life you should be determined though calm. In life always seek balance. With balance you can adapt to any situation. You must become balanced in body, mind and spirit. Neither of these create weakness, and nor do they reveal it to the enemy. In creating balance within yourself you will be able to observe it in others, and thus you will be able to take advantage of their weaknesses. Stance is a crucial aspect of the swordsman's way. Your kame or stance can be the difference between life and death. Always keep your head straight forward and erect, not down or sideways, and keep your spine erect. This is the center line of your body and is crucial for your stance. However, although your stance is important, it can also reveal your intentions to your opponent. You must learn to use right timing to reveal your intentions to your opponent. Perceive everything around you down to the most minute of details, for against a skilled opponent if you take your eyes off of them you will be dead. Then next, 10, is timing. Timing is important in dancing and pipe or string music, for they are in rhythm only if timing is good. Timing and rhythm are also involved in the warrior arts. In all skills and abilities there is timing. There is timing in the whole life of the warrior, in his thriving and declining, in his harmony and discord. Similarly, there is timing in the way of the merchant, in the rise and fall of capital. All things entail rising and falling timing. You must be able to discern this. In strategy there are various timing considerations. From the outset you must know the applicable timing and the inapplicable timing, and from among the large and small things and the fast and slow timings find the relevant timing, first seeing the distance timing and the background timing. This is the main thing in strategy. It is especially important to know the background timing. Otherwise your strategy will become uncertain. With the mastery of strategy and timing you will be able to defeat 10 men as easily as you are able to defeat one. Apply this to all areas of your life. Do you understand, young one? Yes, sensei, Naruto replied. Good young one, let us continue. Now on to Natojutsu. Natojutsu is a kenjutsu style that utilizes two swords. Usually the two weapons are a katana and a wakizashi. However, you will be training with two wooden long swords so that your body becomes balanced in the use of the two swords. Hi sensei. Good, now to be a master swordsman you must attack with your body, mind and spirit. If any is lacking your attacks will be weak and indecisive, which can lead to your downfall. The pair made it to the edge of a large waterfall that was located in the training ground. Now there are 5 main stances in kenjutsu: Joden, Chuden, Geden, Hasso, and Wake game. The Chuden stance is the most basic of stances and the other stances are derived from this basic stance. It is a stance that is balanced in both attack and defense. In order to perform this stance you need to your spine straight, head erect and facing forward, with your hips straight as well. Have your left foot slightly behind your right and keep both feet parallel to each other. The right knee should be bent and the left almost straight. Grip both bakken with a firm yet gentle grip. Let your hands be approximately 5 inches from your torso and have the tip of each bakken pointing towards the next of your imaginary opponent. The boy's form was rough, but that was to be expected. It took Naruto a week to understand and perform the 5 basic stances of the sword. Now that you understand that posture, you will be holding it under the waterfall. This will strengthen your body, mind and spirit. The boy's eyes widened for a second before hardening into determination. Hi old man, the boy said. Sensei just smiled at his student the moment made it under the waterfall. The tremendous force of the water lashed unforgivingly on his body, pushing him onto his hands and knees. He struggled under the water trying to raise his body up, when he heard Sensei's words. Remember young one, move with your body, mind and spirit, anything less and you will be crushed. Don't fight the waterfall, because if you do, you will lose. You are a part of nature, part of the waterfall. Feel your body, listen to it, calm your mind, allow your spirit to come forth. Gentleness always overcomes forcefulness. Do you feel it? Do you feel your strength? By this time Naruto had made it unto his knees under the overwhelming force of the waterfall. Feel my body, empty my mind, and allow my spirit to come forth. Naruto closed his eyes and was trying to feel his body. In the darkness, he began to feel his body. Arms, legs, shoulders, his muscles, bones, every part of his body became alive with energy. In the darkness of his mind the noise of the waterfall faded away. Don't fight the waterfall, if I fight it I will lose. It is me, forceful, fighting, and unstoppable. I cannot fight myself, I cannot use force. At that moment, a strange calm overcame the boy as the waterfall began to feel lighter and lighter, like he was in his shower. The water just seemed to flow right past his body. No force, do not fight. He stood tall under the waterfall. He did it. Yes, I did it, he thought. However, the moment he began to think, he was overwhelmed by the waterfall and swept into the river. A few minutes later he was swept onto the river bank, sprawled on the bank, looking at the sky and breathing hard. He felt a shadow looming over him. It was Sensei. You were proud of your accomplishment and it showed in your facial expression. What you accomplished was a glimpse of your natural state. It was nothing special. You got preoccupied with your feet and lost your way. Pride, elation, forcefulness will all get you killed in battle. Do you remember the final lesson? Never stray from the way. I remember, old man. It was special to me, old man. Of course it was. You were crammed fully of anger that you forgot your true strength. Seeing it for the first time were awed by it. My true strength. How do I find it? Look within. Look within. Yes, young one. All the answers you need can be found inside you, not on the outside. Now try again. Hi old man, said the boy as he got up and went under the waterfall again with his bakken in hand. It took him 2 weeks of constant practice every day just to stand upright under the waterfall and stay there. It took him another 2 weeks to actually move his hands and legs. Once this was accomplished, the old man had him working on perfecting the stances under the waterfall. This was no easy task for the boy, and it took him 2 months and a half of constant practice to hold those stances under the waterfall with his bakken, without dropping his guard. Every falter, every hole in his guard resulted in him being hit with a small rock wherever the hole in his defense was found. The old man was relentless in his exploiting of the holes in his defense, and every time Naruto fell out of the waterfall and washed up onto the banks, the old man would say, "You just died there, leave no openings for your enemies to exploit." The assigned Anbu was really impressed with the training the boy was undertaking and knew that to accomplish what he did, took extreme discipline. The old man was a really good, if not ruthless trainer. However, he was also a kind and wise man as well, and the boy was flourishing under the man's tutelage. Meeting with the discovered Anbu and the Hokage. Yes, Hokage. Sama, I was detected by young Naruto. I was discovered by a child who isn't even a genin yet, and that old man, at the rate he is developing at, who knows how far he could go. Whatever he is teaching young Uzumaki, it is causing him to develop at a rapid pace. In a few year times, this kid is truly going to be a force to be reckoned with. Sandame. Sama. Describe the man's method of teaching, said the Sandame. He is patient but a bit ruthless, and the Anbu went into detail about what he heard and saw. I learned a few things myself, the Anbu stated. Interesting. It seems that I will have to view one of these training sessions myself. The training sessions are definitely interesting, Hokage. Sama. Very well then, you are dismissed. Hi Hokage. Sama, and the Anbu disappeared from view. Uzumaki Naruto, he said to himself. End of meeting. As the days and weeks went by, Naruto was able to perfect all the stances under the waterfall without breaking his guard. The rigorous training had made his young body strong, and he began to put on muscle mass due to the training. The Sandame was watching the pair as they made their way to the training ground for their day's work. Having perfected your stances, today you are going to learn about the 5 attitudes of Kenjutsu, and they are upper, lower, middle, right and left sides. But before we continue, could you tell me what amiss here, young one? Yes, sensei. There is someone around, but I cannot find their location. They're very well hidden. How did you discover them? Asked the old man. There were 3 rabbits over by the rocks near that small tree to your right. For the past hour or so they have been in that area, but just a moment ago they suddenly became agitated for no reason. There are not predators around, so the only conclusion is that there is someone nearby spying on us again. The Sandame was shocked, but he did not show it. Naruto had almost detected him, and he was really close too, because he hid in the very tree Naruto called out. Although he was just testing the boy's sensing abilities, he had to admit that the child passed with flying colors. The boy was extremely conscious of his surroundings. The old man training methods were great to produce such a drastic improvement in young Naruto. Very well done, Naruto. Let us continue. Now, as I was saying, there are 5 attitudes of Kenjutsu. Upper, middle and lower correspond to head, chest and abdomen. The right blow to these areas are usually fatal. Left and right attitude refers to the extremities, and blows to these areas are not usually fatal but can be sorely debilitating. Your attitude should be large or small according to the situation. Upper, lower and middle attitudes are decisive. Left side and right side attitudes are fluid. Left and right attitudes should be used if there is an obstruction overhead or to one side. The decision to use left or right depends on the place. Now take your stance, young one, alongside me and flow my movements. Men, head, Tasuki, body. Do, waist, Miji, left, Haiden, right. Naruto did as he was told, and so they began the basics of Kenjutsu. Sarutobi watched as the two continued to train in the way of the sword. He saw that the man was harsh and unforgiving, but he was also wise, and Sandame could see that he cared for Naruto deeply. Naruto is in good hands. This will do the boy well. He then faded into thin air. Naruto practiced the 5 attitudes until his arms were sore and his application of the strikes became flawless. Your understanding of the 5 attitudes is flawless. Now you are going to learn the different techniques of Nitojutsu and thus swordsmanship. Before I begin, I would like to tell you about the true essence of swordsmanship. The true essence of swordsmanship? Don't we just cut down our enemies? Asked the boy. No, young one. Most swordsmen believe that our art is about the techniques and defeating the enemy just as you do. Sensei turned away and was facing the waterfall, looking up at the cascading water with a somber look on his face. Naruto knew the words that he was about to hear would be some of the most important that he would hear his master speak. The old man began. Swordsmanship ultimate ideal develops in 3 stages. This ideal begins with the unity of swordsman and sword. In this unity, even a blade of grass or a stick is a weapon. In the second stage, the sword no longer exists in one's hands but in one's heart. But even when absent from one's hand, you can strike an enemy with your hands as if they were swords. By this time Naruto was totally absorbed in the man's words. The first two achievements of the swordsman pale in comparison. The final and ultimate achievement of the swordsman is the absence of sword in both hand and heart. The swordsman is at peace with himself and the rest of the world. He vows not to kill and seeks to bring peace to mankind. Peace? But isn't a sword a weapon, a tool to kill? Oh yes, there, young one, no doubt about that. Swords are used to kill, it is that simple. However, the sword is a paradox that makes sense and at the same time doesn't make sense. I don't understand. In this world, there are only two types of swords. Only two? The boy responded in amazement. He read a book about the different types of swords and blades. How can there be only two? Yes, and these two swords are the Katsujinkan or the life-giving sword and the Satsujinkan or life-taking sword. Any sword, any blade falls into either one of these two categories. If you kill a man who is about to murder innocent children, then in the act of killing that man your sword becomes life-giving. However, you took the man's life and however evil he may be, it was still a life, and thus your sword becomes a life-taking sword. Even further, these terms can be used as way of life and of swordsmanship, either to take or preserve life. Do you understand what is at stake when you take up a blade and point it at another human being? No, you do not. It is only when the tip of your blade is at your enemy's throat and he is begging for life will you truly understand these words. Only then will you understand the power of the blade. Naruto was speechless. The old man's words were stuck in his mind and he could not get them out. The old man sighed. Your lesson is done for today. We shall meet tomorrow at 5 p.m. to continue your training. Let us leave this place. Without a word they left the training ground. Later that evening at Ichiraku's ramen stand, Naruto was enjoying his favorite dish of all time, ramen. His mind was still on the words of the old man at the end of their training session. Those words had put a weight on his heart and he did not know how to get it off. So, Naruto, how have you been? I haven't seen you around for a while. You must be really working hard in the academy. Old man Tucci asked his number one customer. No, old man, I am not in the academy anymore. I am not going to be a ninja of Konoha. With that statement Tucci just stopped what he was doing. You're not going to be a ninja of Konoha. What about your dream to be Hokage? I have found something more important than being Hokage. What is it, Naruto? Peace of mind, old man. To me, peace of mind is more important than being Hokage, and I had anything but peace of mind in the academy, in the village. So you don't like Konoha anymore? Despite everything, this is my home even though it causes me a great deal of pain. I understand. You are developing into a fine young man, Naruto. Keep up the good work. Naruto gave him a truly genuine smile. Thanks, old man. Hey, where is Ayame? I haven't seen her around. Oh, Ayame is in a Tofika guide taking care of her sick aunt. She will not be back for some time. Oh, okay, that's really nice of her. That's just who she is, Naruto. For the rest of the evening the duo engaged in animated conversation with each other. The following day with Naruto and Sensei, Naruto and Mayushi met at the designated time and were making their way through the streets of Konoha. Anytime Naruto lost concentration or became preoccupied, he was smacked on the head by Mayushi. Smackings were the ritual between the two as they walked and spoke with each other. The villagers were curious about the boy's new dress code of the simple black kimono with an orange spiral at the back. Did he give up on being a ninja? The pair walked until they left the districts and were beginning to enter the training grounds. They continued to walk into an unfamiliar part of the Konoha training grounds. Where are we going, Sensei? We are going to a place where you are going to train and learn the most important secret of swordsmanship. Something that is more important than any technique or any skill you might learn. What is that, old man? Instinct, young one. The will to survive, to fight for one's life. To be at the brink of death. That is more important than any technique or any skill. Survive? The boy said, noticing that they were approaching a large fenced-off forest with large metal gates equally spaced. Welcome to the forest of life, your new home. My new home? Yes, you will be living and training here until you are ready to serve with the rest of the military forces of Konoha. But old man, all I have is my bakken. What will I eat and where will I sleep? You have everything you need and you will have to find your own food and place to sleep. Nature will teach you more than I ever could. We will train with your kenjutsu techniques and we will also begin your taijutsu training as well. This is Anbu recruit training he is giving the boy Sandame. Sama will definitely be interested in this, thought the Anbu. The boy perked up a little at the thought of more training. I will come here some time to train you, after which you will spend the night in the forest. Listen to your instincts. Listen to your body because the body always knows. Listen to your sword. Listen to your spirit, and listen to nature. Learn from her, she is your greatest teacher. Live. I will see you sometime, young one. One last bit of advice before I leave: animals instinctively knows how to identify fear. Hi, you crazy old man, is this old man crazy? The Anbu thought. At that moment he felt the old man's presence behind him. How did I not feel him until he was directly behind me? Anbu-san, please don't interfere with the boy's training. I am under the orders of the Hokage, sir, not you. Very well then, Anbu-san, I understand, and the man disappeared. What the hell? Thought a surprised Anbu. This kid is being trained by such a man. Later at the Hokage's office. Hello there, Hokage. Sama, I came here with a request. My Anbu already informed me of your request. You have done a remarkable job with the boy, but leaving an 11-year-old child in the forest of death is irresponsible. No, it is necessary training. He is young, yes, but he has had a hard life and it will only get harder. When he goes out into the world, he will have to fight to survive and to ensure the survival of those around him. I do agree with you, but his condition makes him unique. So you're saying his life is worth more than his peers, Sarutobi, Sama? Though I hate to admit it, yes it is. His life is more valuable than most in the village. You have lost your way, Sarutobi. In nature no life is more important than the other. All are equal under heaven. All are equal under heaven? Yes they are, and a man of your vast experience, especially with war, should know this. The boy needs to face his own mortality. He needs to be surrounded by the possibility of his death, for his life to be constantly on the line. Naruto was in the forest of death for the first time. His sense of danger was on high alert. He did not know where he was, and the feeling of fear rose from deep within his being. The grip on his wooden bakken tightened instinctively. All around him, all he could feel was death. Mayushi-san, you know of his condition as a Jinchuriki. He is a valuable village asset. An asset that will die in the first serious encounter in battle, because he has not grown beyond his fear, replied Mayushi. The boy was in the forest, with his mind moving at 1,000,000 miles per minute. What do I do now? Then he remembered the old man's words, let your instincts guide you. I need to find shelter and food. Yes, I know, but only when his life is on the line will he know the true fear of death. Only then can he gather the courage to transcend his fear. As Naruto made his way through the huge forest, his senses told him to turn left. As he turned to face the direction his senses told him to, he was greeted by the sight of a ferocious wild boar. The animal was easily 4 times his size and had huge tusks protruding out of its mouth and muscles that could be seen even through its thick, tough hide. The hairs on the back of the boy's neck rose in fear of the situation he was faced with. His primal instincts told him to run, but he couldn't. He was in unknown territory, and who knows what else he would run into if he blindly ran through the forest. He needed to stand his ground and fight. He would not die here to this animal. The hidden Anbu looked on at the confrontation between the boy and the beast. The shinobi knew that was a very terrible situation for a child to face. But then the Anbu saw the look of determination in the eyes of the child. This kid. Naruto looked at the beast in the eyes and held his bakken in his hand. Time seemed to slow down as 2 of nature's children squared off in deadly combat. The wild animal thrust forward at him with incredible speed. The boy was just able to dodge the initial onslaught by the savage beast. However, his kimono was cut by the long tusk of the boar. A long gash remained but quickly began to heal as a result of the kyubi. Sarutobi listened carefully as the man spoke. He must learn fear and never forget its lessons. You are taking him too close to death's door, Mayushi, said the sandame in a grave tone. Naruto barely dodged another ferocious charge by the wild animal. It is necessary, Sarutobi. Yes, it is necessary to protect him at all costs. You mean, cripple him at all costs? Only the strongest warriors know such fear, because they stared death in the face and overcame it. The 2 beings circled each other warily with their gazes locked on each other. Sarutobi couldn't disagree with the man's words, but he was still fearful for the boy's life. He relented. Very well then, my Anbu will not interfere in the boy's training. Thank you, Sarutobi. Dono. The boy will not die, he is too much of a knucklehead to do so. Sarutobi could only chuckle at the man's word because they were true. The boy knew that there were very few places that he could hit the wild beast that would actually hurt with his bakken. In order to win, he needed to hit vital areas. His life will be at more danger than ever. Do you really think his enemies will spare him on the battlefield? I would hope so, Sarutobi said in a mirthful tone. Preoccupied with how to kill the animal, he did not see the root of a tree protruding out of the ground and lost his balance. The boar struck. Naruto saw the beast rushing at him as he was unbalanced. Time seemed to flow in slow motion as the beast closed in on him. He saw the sharp tusks of the animal aim directly for the center of his chest. The Anbu was about to intercept the animal before it impale the poor child. However, the boy had a strange look in his eyes that completely stopped the shinobi in his tracks. He quickly shifted his shoulder, which resulted in him getting a wicked diagonal slash across his chest. The blow sent upward about 20 feet and slammed him into the trunk of a large tree and fell limply into the ground. He escaped certain death. Seeing the body of its prey laying still on the forest floor, the large animal cautiously made its way to claim its prize. The boy lay on the ground, motionless on the ground, with his toe bakken on the ground and a large, bleeding, diagonal gash across his chest. The boy's eyes were closed. I was preoccupied with my fear, with this forest, the beast. I failed to see everything effortlessly. I failed to truly see. I have been alone and ignored all my life. Ha! How ironic, I have been called a demon and monster, and here I am fighting for my life in a forest of death. I am who I am, and I cannot control the events of life. The boy slowly stood up and righted himself. He looked up at the forest, at himself and the beast. The beast stopped in its tracks and eyed the boy curiously. It is just a beast, and I am just a human being, and this is just a forest. In the eyes of Kami, myself, this tree, this beast, we are all insignificant. If I am to die here, in this forest created by Kami, then so is it. With that realization, a strange calm overtook the boy. It was almost frightening. I am too calm to be in such a situation. His vision became clear. The whole forest just seemed to come alive. I can see. My sight is so clear that I could see the bugs crawling on the forest floor, and the movements of the muscles in the beast's body are as clear as day. What has happened to the boy? I sense no fear in him at all. He has changed somehow. It is as if he is here but not here, thought the hidden Anbu. I am sorry, my friend, but you will not be taking my life this day, the boy said to the great beast. The savage beast became agitated by the peaceful stare of the young boy in front of it. I see you, my friend, and if you charge again you will die. The beast began to huff and grunt in agitation, unsure of whether to attack or defend. Slowly it began to retreat in an unsure manner. It could no longer smell the fear rolling off the boy. The animal was afraid, as if cornered. The boy sensed the agitation in the animal and knew that it was going to attack. He would have to kill the beast. He would make it a quick and painless death. Right then Sensei's words came to his mind. Your body always knows. Listen to it. Let it guide you. Listen to your sword. In a feral grunt the animal charged. In his peaceful state, the boy was unafraid. He could see every movement, every breath of the wild beast charging towards him. The boy had a smile on his face. The boy is smiling. Is he crazy? The Anbu thought. The beast began to lower its head for the upward thrust with its sharp tusks. Naruto watched as the tusks approached him, ready to take his life. Everything just seemed to slow down for him, and he could smell the stench of the beast's breath. Let your body and your sword guide you. As the beast raised its head to apply the finishing blow, the boy's body moved on its own. He sidestepped the charge and he stood in a crouching position underneath the exposed throat of the beast as its head reached the pinnacle of the attack. Attack with your body, mind and spirit. In one fluid motion he brought his two bakken together and poured his whole being into one attack, into the throat of the great beast. During the attack, he couldn't tell where he began and the sword ended. He knew exactly where he was going to attack the beast and when. In that moment timing and strategy became one, and the result was beautiful and deadly. At the pinnacle of the beast's attack, its neck will be totally exposed and vulnerable. With a sharp force at the base of the jaw, Naruto shattered the connection between the beast's spinal cord and brain. It dropped dead in a loud crash before it could even make a sound. In a single stroke it was dead. A single stroke. A single stroke was the difference between life and death, Naruto thought. Beautiful, is what the Anbu thought. The boy stood alongside the dead beast huffing and puffing after his first true life and death experience. He was thankful to the great beast for the lesson it taught him. Domo arigato boar.san for the lesson you have taught me. He gave a respectful bow and continued his voyage into the forest. Man, what a first day, he said to himself. 2 weeks later, it had been 2 weeks since Naruto began his training in the forest. He survived by hunting small wild animals like rabbits, birds, and he fished regularly in the river. He continued to train in what Sensei had taught him, but he also trained in learning to listening to his body and his sword. Currently his was taking a break in a large clearing. He was leaning on a large tree eating some wild edible berries that he found. He had found out the hard way what berries were edible and those that weren't. He also never let his guard down and he never left his back open. He developed a very acute sense of danger living in a forest where you could be attacked at any moment. During his little break, Naruto heard the slight crunching of leaves behind the tree and instantly grabbed his Bakken from his side and went on the alert. Ah, good young one, your senses are sharpening. Old Man, you left me in this bloody forest and on the very first day I had to fight for my life. Are you crazy? Forest of life, my ass, said the boy in his fit of rage. Stop complaining, this is just the beginning of your training. What, just the beginning? Yes, I already told you that the training will be tough. Do you wish to quit? No, but it's just that this is so new to me. This is the life of the warrior. We face the unknown every day. The idea of security is an illusion, it isn't real. It dampens our senses and makes us dull and inattentive. Security is an illusion. Yes. Danger lurks at every corner, especially for a warrior, you cannot let your guard down. That is what this forest is teaching you. It is teaching you a simple fact of life. Enough talk, time to begin your training. What am I going to learn? Before we go into any of the sword techniques of Taijutsu, you need to understand the concept of Modai and Ki. What about chakra, old man? Don't samurai use chakra? Yes, almost all modern day samurai use chakra, but you are going to learn to use a deeper, more potent source of energy, Ki. With this energy you may be able to achieve feats that very few samurai were able to achieve. What are these feats, old man? The boy asked excitedly. You are not ready yet, was Mayushi's simple reply. Naruto knew that was the end of that conversation. When Mayushi had nothing more to say, he had nothing more to say. So going back to the topic at hand, Naruto asked, what is Ki, old man? Listen very carefully, this lesson will be the foundation of everything you will learn from here on out. Hi, old man. Very well then, you have been taught that chakra is the result of mixing the energy produced by the cells of the body and the mental and spiritual energy gained from exercise and experience. It is what shinobi use to execute ninjutsu and genjutsu techniques. What about taijutsu? Taijutsu mostly uses energy produced by the cells of the body. However, taijutsu experts and high-level shinobi often use chakra to augment their taijutsu skills. Understand, young one? Yes, I understand. Ki, on the other hand, is the energy of the universe? The energy of the universe, isn't chakra the energy of the universe? The boy asked in confusion. No, chakra is produced by our bodies. You can think of it as diluted Ki. Let me explain further. Okay. As I was saying, Ki is the energy of the universe. It is the thread that connects all things. From the minerals of the earth to man, it is the glue that holds the universe together and it engenders growth and transformation. Ki is the beginning, middle and end of all activity in the universe. Ki does not cause change. It is present before, during and after any change. Change is simply a manifestation of what was already inherent in the previous state. I don't understand, old man. Okay. Look at that tree over there, said the man, pointing to one of the numerous large trees in around them. Now before that tree came to be, it was first a seed. However, the seed and the tree are completely different things, yet the tree comes from the seed, does it not? Yes. Therefore, the manifestation of the tree was already inherent in the seed, although the seed is tiny and the tree is very large. Ah, said the boy, like the chicken or the egg. Yes, they are both manifestations of each other. Yet, each are different possibilities of the same energy, the same Ki. Do you understand now? Yes, I do. Now the Ki of the universe has bounds. The old man said, picking up a stick from the ground, and continued, there are two types of Ki. Yin and Yang. Yin Ki is heavy and dark and from it the earth was born. Yang on the other hand was light and clear and thus formed the heavens. The man said while drawing the yin-yang symbol. The outer circle represents the bounds of yin and yang, while yin is represented by the color black and yang the color white. They move in a never-ending circle perfectly in tune with each other. Naruto listened with rapt attention to what was being told to him. Ki of yin was cold and once accumulated formed water, whereas the boy finished the sentence for him. Ki of yang was hot and when accumulated formed fire. Am I right, old man? Yes, you are very good, young one, you are beginning to understand. Can you tell me about the earth and wind elements? Asked the old man. Earth will definitely be yin since it is by definition heavy and dark. Wind will be yang since it is light and clear. Excellent, young one. That is why on the shinobi elemental wheel fire is enhanced by wind and water is muddied by the earth. This is because fire and wind are both yang-natured elements while water and earth are both yin-natured elements. This is also why water and fire cancel each other out and earth and wind are unable to overcome each other. Understand? Yes, old dot man. This is very interesting. The old man chuckled. Yes, it is, young one. Yes, it is. Yin and yang. Earth and heaven through their unity, the four seasons. Can you explain the four seasons were born? Can you describe the seasons in terms of yin and yang, young one? Yes, old dot man. Winter will be yin since it's cold, whereas summer will be yang because it is hot. Spring, which is the transition between winter and summer, will be a varying mixture of both yin and yang qi as the season changes from winter to summer. It will also be the same for autumn, which is the transition from fall to winter. Very good, young one. All of nature is a cycle of change. Autumn flows into winter, winter to spring, spring to summer, and summer to autumn. The cold harshness of winter gives way to the promise of the vitality and rebirth of spring. Nothing lasts forever and the cycle continues. Now both living and non-living things have ki, since it is basically the glue that holds the universe together. Chakra, however, is limited to only living beings. Chakra is cultivated and enhanced through physical training and concentration exercises. Ki is also enhanced through physical training and exercises, but the most important aspect of ki training is achieving the simultaneous movement and stillness of body and mind. Then it is just a matter projecting this stillness outward. How could the body is something that we use do all sorts of things? How can you achieve both movement and stillness? Asked the boy. That is an excellent question, young one, and you will have to find the answer on your own. On my own? You don't make anything easy, old man. I told you already, that nature contains all the answers. Giving you the answers to all your questions is not making you stronger, it is making you weaker. I am a guide to show you the way to your strengths, but it is a path that you walk alone. Discovering the true meaning of things yourself will bring you strength and wisdom, and there will be a grace and simplicity to what you do. There are three aspects of ki that you must understand in order to fully utilize this primordial energy. What are they, old man? Simplicity, change, and constancy. Simplicity. The root of substance of ki. As I said before, ki is the fundamental essence behind everything in the universe. The root of all substance is plainly and utterly simple. No matter how complex a thing may be, at its core it totally simple. It is the building block of all existence, yet its essence is simple. Variability. The use of substance. I have taught you that everything in the universe is subject to change. It is no different for ki. Thus, you need to be able to perceive the various manifestations of ki and be able to adapt to them and utilize them. Constancy. The essence of substance. Although the manifestations of ki vary, ultimately it does not matter what form the energy takes or how it is used, it is all the same ki. Hi sensei. Now the second thing I have to teach you is about Modai. Modai in its simplest term is the interval or space between two fighters. Distance, time, rhythm, and angle all affect Modai. There are two types of Modai: physical and mental. Physical Modai refers to the actual distance between two fighters, which can be to.ma or long distance, ito.ma or middle distance, and chika.ma or short distance. Modai varies with each fighter. A fast opponent will have a greater Modai than a slow opponent. For this reason, speed will be a very important factor in your training. The mental aspect of Modai refers to gaps in you or your opponent's awareness. It is rooted in the concept of kyojitsu and refers to the emptiness and fullness of a person's ki. The gaps in awareness and kyojitsu combine to form mental the Modai. So what you're saying is that I could have physical Modai and not mental Modai, right? Yes, and if you don't have both in battle, you are as good as dead against a skilled opponent. So what causes a disruption of mental Modai? Asked the boy. A break in concentration, fear, doubt, surprise, confusion, and breathing in, all cause a break in your mental Modai. Once your opponent is in this state, your attacks have the greatest chance of success. How does breathing in cause a lapse in mental Modai? Because when we breathe in, our diaphragm contract and pull down on, and our lungs expand, decreasing the pressure in our chest. Molecules always move from an area of higher pressure to lower pressure. With the pressure lower within the body than without, air rushes into our lungs. In this moment, the diaphragm and lungs are not in their natural resting state. Therefore, this presents a moment of vulnerability to the opponent. The boy finished. Excellent. However, achieving the timing to strike in that moment is extremely difficult. To achieve this, you have to become one with the breath of your opponent. The best time to do this is when your opponent is tired and it is easy to follow their breathing. Continuing on, young one, using their ki and Modai, samurai is able to create a field of awareness that alert them to anything that enters it. The field is created when the samurai extends their ki to the very edge of their to.ma. They are able to know when and where a person enters the field and are able to attack or defend at a moment's notice. Thus they are never caught unaware once they maintain the field. Cool, yes, cool. Your lesson is done for today. I will return in about 6 weeks and by then you should be able to access your ki. Also, I want you to study this scroll inside out, handing the boy a medium-sized scroll marked, the human body and its meridians. We will be starting you taijutsu training when I return. Yes, old man. Here is some advice, the old man said as he began to leave the forest. The more you think about something, the more you narrow your eyes in desperation to see and the more difficult it becomes to find the answer. When something is too difficult to see, then try closing your eyes. The boy was confused by the man's words but still took them to heart as he looked on at the retreating form of the old man into the forest. The universe's energy. The last time Naruto and his master had met was a month prior. The boy found it extremely difficult to understand the detailed information about the human body and its meridians contained in the scroll the old man gave him. But despite the material's complexity, Naruto put a lot of effort into his studies. He was starting to grasp the idea of what the old man was saying, and his ki training was going well. He was having a lot of trouble at first getting access to his ki and making a lot of effort to comprehend what the old man was saying. He needed to know the nature of ki in order to use and comprehend it, but the old man had already given him all the information he needed to know. What have I overlooked? The boy wondered this as he made his way to the river, which would become his regular resting place in the forest. He was watching the water as it ebbed and waned on the bank as he stood at the edge of the river. That's when he remembered what the old man had said. The more you think about something, the more you narrow your eyes in desperation to see and the more difficult it becomes to find the answer. When something is too difficult to see, then try closing your eyes. And Naruto did just that. He shut his eyes. Pay attention to your body. It is the body that knows best, to your instincts, to your sword, to your spirit, and to the natural world. He paid more attention to the way the water moved, how it crashed against the shore and then gently receded back into the river. Learn from her, she is your greatest teacher, he said. Left and right, high and low, yin and yang, force and gentleness. Despite being a part of the same movement, they all go back to their original locations. Nothing is an end in and of itself. Everything always comes back. To what, though? The boy studied the water more intently as it entered and exited the river and then returned to it. The old man in the lesson stated, the river is the source. The source is the river, from which the waves rise and fall. Ki does not cause change. It is present before, during and after any change. Change is simply a manifestation of what was already inherent in the previous state. Motion begins and ends in stillness. Stillness and movement are merely two sides of the same coin. Ultimately, ki is the same everywhere. Whether I am moving or not, fighting or not, the ki never changes. It is always there. I then have to focus on using ki and sensing it rather than getting sidetracked by the various forms it can take. Everything is the same, including the energy and ki. The entire setting changed and seemed more alive after this realization. He was calm, and there was no fear in him. He started to sense his body's ki rising. He embraced the sensation and kept the energy inside his body. He made an effort to hold the ki there, but his focus wavered and the ki returned to his being. As the 6-week period came to an end, his capacity to sense ki had significantly improved. His senses increased as a result of being able to feel the ki in the objects surrounding him. He could now locate the hidden Anbu with ease. Despite their adeptness at concealing their chakra, they were unable to conceal their ki. He was no longer afraid of the forest of death because it was now teeming with life. Recalling the old man's words from his first introduction to the forest, he thought back to that day. Welcome to the forest of life, young one. The boy began to laugh. Hey old man. You sure know what you are talking about. The Anbu guard believed the boy was losing his mind. On the 6th week, the old man came back as he had promised to train Naruto in the forest. Sitting somewhat apart from the river was Naruto. Now that he had caught his dinner, he was eating the fish raw, not wanting to draw attention from any of the forest's wild creatures. All it would entail is needless death. He was eating his meal when something touched the back of his neck. How did you get here without me sensing you, old man? The Anbu was wondering the same thing, trying to work out how the old man had avoided his notice. 3 reasons, young one. Reason number 1, I noticed you were able to sense ki around you, but your ability is limited. You can identify individual ki signatures, but you have yet to develop your field of awareness. I will help you with that. Reason number 2, there are 2 ways to enter a person's field of awareness undetected. One way is to lack intent and the second way is to be as innocent as a child. Reason number 3 is that I am just that good. Hey, stupid old man, wet behind the ears little punk. Nice to see you, old man. It's good to see you haven't died, young one. The two gave each other a light-hearted laugh. So old man, you said you will help me develop my field of awareness. Yes, but before I do, I need to determine your Modai. In order to that I need to show you how to use your ki to enhance your speed. So how do I do that? You have learned to access the ki in your body. Now all you have to do is to pour the maximum amount of ki that the muscles of your body can take to move. So that's why you had me learn the human body in detail. Yes, that is one reason, although there are others. To a samurai, speed is of the utmost importance. You need to be able to move like the wind and win in one decisive stroke of your blade. No protracted battles, no flashy moves, and no wastage of energy and movement. Use the right technique for the right situation. You need to be able to kill in a single blow and so quickly that your opponent doesn't even know that they are dead. Ichi-geki Hisatsu. One strike, one kill. That is what you are aiming for and that is what you will achieve with this training. The boy's only response was, life or death in a single stroke, as he thought of his death match with the wild boar. Yes, you now understand the essence of samurai battle. Now, I would like you to get into your ready stance. The boy followed instructions and assumed a perfect ready stance, leaving no gaps in his defense. Good, now I want you to take one step and strike horizontally with your bakken. Once more, the boy followed instructions. Remember that range well, for it is your chika.ma or your close striking range. Any opponent within that range will be struck unless they are quicker or have greater reflexes than you. Your ito.ma or middle striking range is approximately twice to 3 times your chika.ma, and your opponent needs to be fairly quick to avoid your strikes at such a range. The boy simply listened to what his master had to say. Go 20 paces away from me and I want you launch an attack at me. Pour as much ki as possible into your muscles for your movement. Remember to attack with your whole being. With a nod, Naruto lunged towards the man, creating a tiny cloud of dust in his wake. He's quick for a child his age, Enbu remarked. The old man ducked out of the attack with ease. Not bad, but your body can handle more ki and left a small dust cloud which alerted me to your attack. Even though it is small and quite impressive for a kid at this stage of your training. The small dust cloud broadcasts your movements. Always remember, leave no trace of your movements. You must kill your opponent before they even have time to react. Return to your spot and give it another go, the elderly man said firmly. With a simple nod, Naruto turned to return to his position. He understood that the old man meant business when he spoke to him in that way, and if he did not comply right away, there would be serious consequences. He heard the elderly man's voice before he could set out to return to his starting point. I did not tell you walk back, return the way you came. How am I going to do that? The senior simply shrugged. The boy paused for a moment, lost in thought, then grinned and materialized back where he had been. Mayushi smiled, you are beginning to get it now. You are learning to use your ki and your ma.ai. It was rather easy to figure out, old man, it was all the same energy, so all I had to do was use the same amount of energy to return that I used to reach. The man gestured for the boy to continue, saying, so. The boy realized where the man was trying to lead him, and he said, so if I use more ki I will be able to reach the same distance in a shorter time. Excellent, now try again. The boy's response was, hi. The elderly man had stayed behind in the forest with Naruto to carry out his training with ma.ai and ki. Naruto learned via training that his ma.ai was 30 feet tall physically. Mayushi was surprised to find such a large ta.ma on someone so young. Given that the boy's burden also enhanced his senses, he knew something about it. Sarutobi must inform the boy of his responsibility, the man pondered. This implied that Naruto's maximum attack range at maximum power, given his current speed, was 30 feet. Naruto learned how to extend his ki to the edge of his ta.ma from the old man as well. Naruto had asked him this question. A flashback. Hey old man, why do I have to extend my ki to my ta.ma and no further? If ki is the energy of the universe, can't I just extend it everywhere? That's a good question, and it all boils down to efficiency. Why extend it further than you need it? Your field of awareness allows you to know exactly where someone or something is located, and you are able to respond accordingly. Although ki is the energy of the universe, that does not mean that you can misuse it. Just like chakra, if you use more than is used to sustain life, then you will die. So how do I control my ki? Physical and mental exercises and understanding the nature of things will allow you to control ki. The stronger your body, the more ki you can use, and the better you are able to handle the strain of ki techniques. The more still your mind is, the more sensitive your awareness will be. Because he practically ran the boy into the ground with his training, and the boy continued to come back for more, the old man knew the boy had a lot of stamina, He was aware that the boy's internal kyubi was the source of his extraordinary endurance. He was certain that the boy was capable of handling some of the more difficult ki techniques. So are you going to teach me ki techniques? Yes, I am, but you have much to do before learn those skills. Close the flashback. Now, young one, as I said before, your field of awareness allows you to detect and attack, if you so choose, anyone or anything that enters that field. However, you must understand that the field is extremely sensitive to a person's intent. How so, old man? Intent is the closest thing you can get to ki, but not exactly like it. Therefore, intent or thought creates a disturbance in the samurai's field of awareness, and that is how it is almost impossible to catch a real samurai off guard. The intent to do harm is very easy to discern because it is forceful and violent. It causes a great disturbance in a samurai's sense of awareness. Cool. Yes, cool. I felt the same way when my father taught me about the field of awareness. This is the samurai's greatest weapon against the shinobi, who specializes in stealth and back attacks. It forces them out into the open. The boy said, looking surprised. Really? Yes. The samurai and the shinobi live by two opposing codes that are often at odds with each other. The samurai believed in facing your opponent face to face and valued loyalty and honor amongst other virtues. They do not fear death, and I will even go as far to say that they welcome death. They do not know the meaning of retreat and surrender. They follow a code of gentlemanly conduct and took to educating themselves in the way of art, calligraphy, math, economics, tea ceremonies and proper decorum. Of which you have yet to learn, but you definitely will be learning. The boy honestly said, why learn those things? They sound boring. They are necessary because there are times when the sword is not necessary, and when you put down your sword, there must be something else to fill the gap. If there is nothing to fill the gap, you will just become another bloodthirsty killer, and I will have to kill you. The boy's gaze widened. Kill me? Yes. Should you choose to walk such a path, you would bring disgrace to the name of the knight in Ichi Ryu. Our school has already gone through such a bloody period with my father before he founded the school, and as a result gathered many enemies. I will not allow any student of mine follow the same path. There will be times when you will have to draw your blade. For example, in the service of your daimyo and Hokage. In such a case, you show no mercy to your enemies, but to seek out fame through violence brings shame to the teachings. The boy bowed deeply to the old man, who gave him a firm nod. I understand, and I promise that I will not bring shame to the knight in Ichi Ryu, the boy said solemnly. Continuing, the shinobi on the other hand were mercenaries and worked for the highest bidder. In the old days, it was not uncommon to find shinobi of the same clan fighting on opposite sides of the battlefield. They relied on stealth, sabotage, ambushes and assassinations, and as you know, they utilize nin, gen and taijutsu techniques that make them formidable opponents. Bloodline holders make an already formidable opponent even more dangerous. Thus, by being virtually unable to be caught off guard, a true samurai takes away one of the shinobi's greatest assets, which is stealth. That's really cool, old man. Now don't get too excited there, because pride always comes before the fall. There are two ways to enter a samurai's field of awareness undetected. The first way is if an opponent lacks any particular intent. Because they lack intent, they are able to enter the samurai's field of awareness with causing a disturbance. Only master-class samurai and certain high-level ninja are able to achieve such a feat. The other way to enter a samurai's field of awareness is to be completely innocent, lacking any desire to cause harm. Only babies and young children are known to possess such innocence. Now from now on, always keep your field of awareness up. Even during sleep. Once you have maintained the field for a long period of time, keeping the field up during sleep becomes second nature, just like any skill. You need to practice. For a few weeks, Naruto trained in this manner until the elderly man made the decision to advance to the next phase of his training. Your progress has been great so far. Now you are ready to learn the Natojutsu sword techniques. The prospect of learning new techniques excitedly lit up the boy's eyes. Some of the techniques of Natojutsu are not actual techniques but rather philosophies of attacking. My father was not one for elaborate techniques, and he firmly believed that the ultimate at the end, that the sword simply a tool to kill your opponent. The boy gave a brief, okay, in reply. The most important concept and philosophy of Natojutsu is the strike of non-thought. It is not an actual sword technique, but rather a state of the swordsman's mind. This means that when you attack to kill. When you defend not to be overcome. When you face death in the face, you smile. When you seek to protect, let no one be harmed. When you are in this state, all your actions will be true. There is no middle ground, no half-hearted attempts. Remember the third rule of Dakodo? Yes. Do not, under any circumstances, depend on a partial feeling. This is very important in battle, Partial feelings create doubt in battle, and doubt in battle often result in death. When you are in a life and death battle, but you do not want to kill your opponent, your sword will not be true. If you are defending yourself and you are worried about getting hit, your defense will not be true. If you stare death in the face and you are afraid, then she will most assuredly claim your life. If you are protecting your country and worry about losing the lives of your people, then they will die. You gave your all. There is no middle ground. Once you attain the state unknown thought, all your strikes will be true. So how do I achieve this, old man? Simple, as I said before. When you attack to kill. When you defend, your opponent cannot get past you. When you protect your lord and your people, they do not get harmed. That is why you should not take the drawing of your blade lightly. Yes, I think I understand. I must not doubt myself, otherwise I will lose my life and the lives of those who I am called to protect. Yes, that is correct. This school is not one for cowards and the weak-minded. This leads into the second concept of taijutsu, which is no design, no conception. This is where your words and actions are the same. If you tell a man that you are going to kill him, let your actions follow through with your words. Utter not words that you will not or cannot follow through on. Your word is your bond and sets you apart from other men. Stay true to your word and do not make idle threats. If you say you're going to do something, do it. It is as simple as that. These two principles are what will set you apart from others and will make you both feared and respected. The boy's simple response was, "Hi, now I am going to teach you an actual technique, and it is called one timing. It means to simply bide your time until an opening presents itself, and with that opening you strike one fatal blow. The key to this technique is the combination of speed and evasion. You must evade until your opponent falter, and then you must strike your opponent like lightning, killing them in a single strike. So how am I going to do that? You will first begin by drawing a circle that represents your chica.ma. The boy followed instructions. The man, who was gathering leaves from the ground, said, "Now you are not to move from that circle. I am going to throw these leaves in the air within your range. Do not let a leaf touch the ground, or else." "Or else" was a familiar phrase to Naruto, so he swallowed. Naruto called this exercise the falling leaf exercise of death, and he practiced it until he could chop down 50 leaves without a single one falling to the ground. He had to just avoid the old man's strikes as the next step in his one timing training. The elderly man was incredibly quick for his age, so this was a very challenging task. As a result, Naruto sustained numerous bruises throughout his body. The elderly man explained to him that one timing was a skill that could only be fully honed in combat. Still, he was proficient in the technique's foundations. He was then instructed in the abdomen timing of 2. This tactic entailed attacking the opponent in 2 moves, or by feinting them into retreat and then hitting them in the belly in 2 seconds. Extreme precision was needed for this move, but he was able to achieve it because of his one timing training. Young one, the key to mastering this technique lies in a fundamental understanding of the concept of sticking to your opponent. With a tone of confusion, the boy asked, "How do I do that?" By brining your body as close as possible to your opponent. This will bring the person within your chica.ma and thus in an extremely vulnerable position. This technique requires you to lead with your body and not your limbs. This will not only get you within close range of your opponent, it will also generate much power in your attacks as well. The fire and stones cut was a technique that he already knew, and it required him to attack with his entire body. Mayushi told him that the stronger his body became, the more force that would be generated in the attack. Continuous cut is a technique that utilizes either both your katana and wakizashi or your katana alone. With both weapons, you attack with a horizontal slash with the wakizashi, and with the force of the momentum you pivot and slash with the katana. It is the same principle using the katana alone. The stronger you get, the stronger the attack becomes. As you are now, this is a technique that you can only utilize against a weaker or equally skilled opponent. Against a strong opponent it will be useless because you are too weak. The final technique of taijutsu is the chance opening blow. The technique is true to its name in that the first strike is used to catch the enemy off guard or force them into a defensive position that you are able to attack. In that single moment, you must attack in their moment of distraction. I must warn you that against shinobi these techniques are very difficult to execute. Do you know why? No, I don't. Yes, you do. There is a certain academy technique that is used by any shinobi worth their salt. Oh yes. Kawarimi no jutsu, or body replacement. You cannot kill what isn't there. The body replacement technique is extremely useful tool of the shinobi to save their life and cause a distraction. Do not, under any circumstances, let your guard down around a shinobi. Hi sensei. Naruto spent nearly 2 months honing these skills through practice. He made great progress with the methods. His all-time favorite method was continuous cut, but Mayushi cautioned him against growing overly dependent on it. He learned from the old man that if you become too accustomed to a particular technique, your opponent will be able to read you and easily counterattack. Your strength ultimately turns into your weakness as a result. In order to correct this, the old man trained the boy to be just as skilled in all of the taijutsu techniques. It goes without saying that Naruto hurt all day long. In the Forest of Death, Naruto is once more in front of Mayushi. Well, young one, I must say that I am impressed by your development so far. You didn't die in the forest, in fact, you actually thrived in it. The time draws near for the end of your training in the Forest of Death. In approximately 10 weeks you will be returning to the village to serve as part of the military forces of Konoha. I will tell you now that you will be in the most unique of situations. After all, you are a samurai. You have completed the discipline of earth and water, now you are going to learn the disciplines of fire and wind. You are learning these two disciplines together because they are both about tactics and strategy. Fire is a volatile element that is not easily controlled. It is the same with war. The environment or conditions of the battle you rarely get to choose, but with proper strategy you can change the tides of battle. As one man can defeat 10 men, so can 1,000 men defeat 10,000. However, you can become a master of strategy by training alone with a sword, so that you can understand the enemy's stratagems, his strength and resources, and come to appreciate how to apply strategy to beat 10,000 enemies. These things cannot be clearly explained in words. You must learn to forestall your enemy. In forestalling, you must judge the situation. This does not mean that you always attack first, but if the enemy attacks first you can lead him around. In strategy, you have effectively won when you forestall the enemy, so you must train well to attain this. These are things you must experience in battle. The wind is unpredictable and free-flowing and goes where it wants. Understand Kenjutsu, but also understand the ways of other styles and incorporate them into Night and Ichi Ryu. Study your opponents, their strengths and weakness and how they can be countered and capitalized on. Study crafts outside of that of the sword, and in this way, you will achieve balance in your life. The sword cannot be wielded forever. There is a time and place for everything. This aspect of your training will consist of me putting forward various combat and non-combat scenarios to you. For each scenario you are to consider both the advantages and disadvantages of the situation and the best course of action. I will also teach you the basic manners befitting those who follow the way of the true samurai. Hey, old man, I have manners, the offended reply said. The man responded sarcastically, yup, and I am 20 years old. The boy complained, stupid old goat. My point exactly. There are certain situations in which decorum is of the utmost importance and you need to know those times when they come along. Okay, I get what you're saying. That is good to hear, because proper decorum will get you very far as well. In addition to strategy and tactics, you will also be learning a taijutsu style that complements our kenjutsu style perfectly. This martial art is known as yin-style bagwajang. It is the end product of the combination of several forms of taijutsu. It is a style that contains a wide variety of techniques and is a taijutsu that puts great emphasis on circular evasion. The aim is to flow in and out of your opponent's attacks and quickly disabling them. However, I am going to incorporate the use of ki in this style. Have you learned everything about the human boy and its meridians? Naruto nodded. Yes, it took me a while to understand the location of the meridians and their effect on the human body. But after almost 5 months of study I think I understand them. Good, very good. I am going to teach you how to push your ki into the meridians of your opponent to produce different effects on their bodies. However, pushing ki directly into vital organs such as the heart and lungs will cause immediate death. Pushing ki into the muscle groups and kidneys can cause debilitating pain and weakness. Yin-style bagwajang consists of 8 different animal styles. These styles are lion, monkey, rooster, dragon, phoenix, unicorn, snake and bear. Each animal system has 8 striking methods and each striking method has 7 strikes, of which 3 are called the primary or main strikes. These are the strikes we will be focusing on for now because they are the most important to learn. The others will be learned in time. Okay, old man, but how is this style related to our kenjutsu? They too are related because they both emphasize the quick elimination of the enemy. Also, the different animal forms are very inviting to the use of a wide variety of weapons. As you train in the style you will understand my words. Hi, now, there are 4 basic, yet fundamental practices of bagwajang that must be totally mastered above all else. They are standing, turning, striking and changing. The first stance you are going to learn is, for the rest of his time in the forest, Naruto studied the Bagwajang and how to incorporate ki into the style. Once again, the old man was correct. Naruto had a great time learning the style with and without the sword. The smooth movements of the style complemented the sword perfectly. The elderly man also gave special attention to Naruto's speed and awareness. To assess Naruto's reasoning skills, Mayushi would frequently present the boy with scenarios and fights from his own history. He was making good progress and would devise wild yet ingenious strategies for the various circumstances. On the last day of instruction, Mayushi gave Naruto the last discipline. Well, young one, today is the last day of your training in the Forest of Death. And today is also the day that I will impart the final discipline of Go-Rin no Sho. This discipline is the discipline of Void. This discipline cannot be taught, you must understand it on your own, as you walk your own path. Void is empty yet full. It contains all the elements but at the same time contains none of them. By knowing that which exists, you can know that which does not exist. In the void are virtue, and no evil. Wisdom has existence. Principle has existence. The way has existence, and spirit is nothingness. All things end in void. The young boy gave a nod. Hi sensei. Well, this is your official goodbye to the forest of life. The academy exams are over and the successful graduates have a week off before they are assigned teams. The Hokage has informed me that he has a special arrangement in place to accommodate the unique situation that you find yourself in. He will summon you when he has made all the arrangements. Until then you have some free time. Meet me the day before you meet with your peers, we have much to discuss. Until then, enjoy your free time and visit your loved ones. After such a long time away they would really love to see you. The mention of meeting Iruka, the Hokage, Tuchi, and Ayame made the boy smile. Inside the Hokage's tower with his soon-to-be Jonin sensei in front of him, the Hokage sat at his desk. He had just received the list of successful candidates following the conclusion of the graduation exam. The top Jonin of Konoha, Hitaki Kakashi, Yuhi Kurenai, Maeda Gai, the expert in taijutsu, and Sarutobi Isuma, the resident windmaster, were all present at the meeting. You all know why you're here. The graduation exam has been recently concluded and we have 9 successful graduates this year. I must say that this year is a most promising and politically important bunch. Kurenai asked, how so, Hokage? Sama. Of the 9 candidates, 7 are clan heirs. Whoa. This group of grads is really significant politically, Kakashi remarked. Yes, they are. I am placing Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and Satsuko Tumagashi under your care, Kakashi. Yours will be a free response, front-line squad. No surprise that I got the last of the Uchiha on my team, since I am the only Sharingan user in Konoha. Exactly, Kurenai, you will be in charge of Inazuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata and Aburame Shino. Your task will be to develop an infiltration and espionage team. Yes, Hokage. Sama, finally Isuma, you will be in charge of Nara Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino and Akamichi Koji. The second generation of the Ino, Shika, Cho group. Hi, Hokage. Sama, now there is one other important matter to be dealt with and it concerns one Uzumaki Naruto. The Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko, he was off the radar for a long time. The last I heard he was spending a lot of time with an old man from the Minsha district, said Isuma. Yes, that is true. However, there is more Hokage. Sama? Kakashi inquired. Yes, he is no longer a shinobi of Konoha. This is most surprising, Hokage. Sama, has his flames of youth been snuffed out at such a young age? No, I think his flames are burning more brightly than ever, just not as a shinobi of Konoha. Kakashi asked, then as what, Hokage? Sama, as a samurai. The 4 astonished Jonin exclaimed, a samurai, together. Yes, and I must admit that based on the Anbu reports and my own observations, a very capable one at that. He wishes to serve as a loyal citizen of Konoha and I am the first to admit that we have lost a potentially great shinobi. A silent 4 Jonin listened to the Sandame's words. As part of our military forces he will have to work in order to make money to live. Since this is a shinobi village, he will have to serve amongst the shinobi. I am proposing that he spends time with each team for 2 weeks in order to determine which team he fits best with. In this way he gets to interact with the kids of his generation and hopefully, he will make some friends. Do you all have any questions, concerns or ideas? Kurenai spoke up, Hokage. Sama, I am worried about the team dynamics and training. Obviously, what he has learned is the anti-thesis of anything shinobi related, not to mention the general dislike shinobi and samurai have for each other. That is a good point, Kurenai, But before you judge, let's see how things work out and then we will formulate a plan of action. Yes, Hokage. Sama, how about we start off this little project with your team Kurenai-san? I am the most junior of all the Jonin present. Would it not be better to start the ball rolling with a more senior Jonin? Your humility is commendable Kurenai-san, but I think you team might be the best one to break him in. The Hyuga heiress is kind to a fault and would not show any ill will towards the boy. The Aburame will observe and analyze him as any true Aburame. And the most the Inuzuka might do is try to get in some form of competition or sparring with the boy. Hokage. Sama, I get it, the female Jonin remarked. Good, be sure to report to the academy next Tuesday to collect your team. Hi Hokage. Sama, they all said in unison and left. All I need to do now is notify the council of my choice, after which I will meet with Naruto to talk about his place in the village. Later that night, in the council chamber, the Shinobi Council met and discussed Konoha's civil affairs. As you are already aware, the graduation exam is completed and each and every one of your clan heirs successfully became genin of Konoha. The council members all gave approving nods of the head. Now this does not concern your children, for you already know of the team assignments in Jonin Sensei. What I am here to discuss is the status of Konoha's resident samurai. Every shinobi in attendance paid attention to this. After Sarutobi told the Shinobi Council about the boy's training, the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko became a hot topic of conversation. He is ready to serve alongside the newly instated genin of Konoha. Akamichi Shuza, the leader of the Akamichi clan, questioned, how is he going to fit in with the shinobi? He will be on a 2-week rotation on all the genin squads, in order to work and earn a living as well. Danzo was curious about the boy's whereabouts and training, but his Anbu was unable to find the little brat. What about his training? Asked Danzo. His master will take care of his training, we need not worry about that. Will he be permitted to take part in the forthcoming Chunin exams? Asked Hiyashi, the clan leader of the Hyuga. No, he won't be permitted to take the exam because he is a samurai. Furthermore, the exam calls for a 3-man unit, so whichever team he is assigned to will be overmatched. This will incite animosity among the other countries and could lead to a global incident. As it is now, we must adopt a wait-and-see attitude as it concerns the boy and his situation within the Konoha military structure. Head of the Aburame clan Aburame Shibi said, given the current situation and the information that we have at our disposal, it is logical that we adopt this stance. Yes, it is. As you are already aware, Jiraiya, my misbehaving student, has not reported any noteworthy activities until recently. Just now, Danzo inquired in a calm manner. Yes, he has reported that the development of a new hidden village in the land of rice. Which person is the village chief? Inquiring, Yamanaka Inoichi. He's not been able to figure out who the leader is. The person in charge is extremely cunning. Is this the danger about which you were alerted? Inuzuka Sume inquired. It might be, the esteemed Hokage replied. Jiraiya is intensifying his spying efforts in order to obtain more details. We're going to step up our border patrols and monitoring in Rice Country. We are limited to doing that until we obtain more information. Head of the Nara clan Nara Shikaku said, that sounds reasonable, we cannot act rashly in such a situation. When my wayward pupil gives me more information, I will let the council know. They all uttered, hi, Hokage, Sama, simultaneously. The subsequent day, practicing keeping his sense of awareness while sitting in a meditative position in his apartment, Naruto had been working hard to cultivate both Ki and Ma.ai ever since Mayushi had taught him about them. The boy said, what do you need, Anbu.san? To what appeared to be an empty room. So the reports be Yamato Taicho were true. The boy has become skilled at detection, the Anbu said, surprised that the child had found him so quickly. Uzumaki Naruto, Hokage. Sama has sent me to escort you to his office for a meeting. Thank you Anbu.san, I will be ready shortly. The boy took 10 minutes to get dressed, donning his now familiar black kimono with the orange spiral down the back, a deep red sash tucked in the waist to conceal his tubakan, and black sandals for shoes. I am ready Anbu.san. I wonder if he can keep up with me. We're going to be riding on the rooftop. Are you able to keep up with me, or will I have to carry you? The Anbu inquired in a lighthearted but demanding manner. Of course I can keep up Anbu.san, then let's go. As they traversed the rooftops of Konoha en route to the Hokage Tower, the Anbu was taken aback by the child's effortless pace, musing, this is excellent speed, how did he learn to move so fast? The trip to the Hokage's office took them 15 minutes. The Anbu guard materialized while the Sandame was working on paperwork at his desk. Hokage. Sama, I have escorted Uzumaki Naruto as you requested. Thank you Bird.san. Send him in. The Anbu turned around and motioned for the boy to come in, saying, as you wish. A small boy with a calm demeanor and a constant sense of alertness emerged, wearing a black kimono, black sandals, and 2 bakken by his side. He said, the forest of death will do that to you. It's been a while since I last saw you, Gigi. Are you still reading those sleazy novels? Ah, Naruto, it's nice to see that you've changed while staying the same. Come on, Naruto. Take a seat and let's talk. I have missed you Naruto. I was very worried when your master told me about your training in the forest of death. The boy grinned sincere and said, thanks, Gigi. No problem, I consider you to be my second grandson. The smile on the boy's face became even bigger. Your sensei told me that your training in the death of the forest would soon come to an end. I'm aware that you'll have to make a living. As a result, I have made arrangements for you to work while also assisting in the defense of Konoha. The conclusion of your training coincides with the academy's graduating class. I have a feeling that your sensei had that in mind. Yeah, nothing that old Coot does is by chance. Sarutobi could not suppress a chuckle. I have set up a 2-week rotation where you will be performing missions on each of the genin squads. Whether or not you want to train with them is up to you. You can make enough money this way to support yourself. Based on your performance, you will receive higher level missions, just like any other member of Konoha's armed forces. Is this something you can live with? Yes, it does Gigi. All right, now that the formalities are over, let's get caught up. It's been a while since I've seen my grandson, Sandame said, canceling his meetings for the next 2 hours while the boy updated him on his training and the lessons he had learned from the elderly man. Sarutobi was impressed, to put it mildly, and if the boy's claims were accurate, he should have no trouble managing C-ranked missions. Following their much needed and pleasant meeting, Naruto made the decision to go see how Ichiraku and Iruka were doing. Where Ichiraku sells ramen. While taking orders, Tuchi and Ayame were preoccupied and failed to notice Naruto entering the store. When Ayame turned around, she saw a new client, whose face didn't look familiar despite his black kimono. Hello there, sir. May I take your order? Ayame.Nay. Do you still not remember your younger brother? I'm so hurt, Naruto exclaimed in an exaggerated manner. Naruto? Is that you? Yes, it is. Uzumaki Naruto, the undisputed king of ramen, is one and only. Naruto. She ran around the counter and gave him a big hug, crying out, I missed you so much, you were away for a very long time. Yes, I was on a little training trip and before that you were by your aunt in Atofika Guy. Yes, that's true, she was sick and needed someone to take care of her until she was well. Hey Naruto, nice to see my #1 customer is back. Yes, I am, and my goodness, how did I miss my ramen? Give me 2 miso first, then 2 beef. Right away, and you look good in your kimono. Yes, I agree with Dad, it does look good on you. Bah. My sensei said the same, it is surprisingly comfortable. Tuchi exclaimed, ha ha ha. Same old Naruto, eat up, with a cheerful tone. He spent the remaining time with his priceless people and eating ramen. Following his 15 bowls of ramen, Naruto went to see Iruka at the academy. Inside the Shinobi Academy, despite the conclusion of the graduation exam, Iruka remained at the academy. He still had a ton of paperwork to complete, though, including reports and proposals for the upcoming class of academy students. Hey there Iruka. Sensei, you still working? The graduation exam is over? Look who the cat brought in, Uzumaki Naruto. I almost didn't recognize you in that kimono of yours. You look good in it. Yeah, so I've heard. I visited Hokage Sama to see if you were okay and he told me that everything is fine with you. He also told me that you are training to be a samurai and that you will be serving alongside the newly graduated genin. Is this true? Yes, it's true, so I will be seeing you next week. Haha, in a sense you did graduate, just not as a shinobi. When Naruto realized these words were true, he started to laugh. So Naruto, tell me about what you have been doing all these years. The boy in front of Iruka startled him. He didn't seem to be fazed by anything, and he exuded more self-assurance and contentment. Furthermore, the boy appeared to be on guard all the time, as though danger was lurking around every corner. As an experienced ninja, Iruka could tell when someone was unguarded. Even during their light talk, the boy's guard did not drop. What could have changed the boy in such a way? Iruka also shared his stories, and Naruto started telling his story of everything he had discovered. Naruto's story helped him to understand why the boy was constantly watching. He was in the forest of death for a year. The pair conversed about old times for the remainder of the night. The day before the group tasks are due. Behind the old man's shop, Naruto and Mayushi were kneeling facing each other. Well, we have come to end of one journey and on to the next. I am proud to tell that you have been the most annoying student ever. What? You old coot. You have no manners and you are gruff. But you have also been a hard worker and show limitless potential. You have overcome challenges that men twice and 3 times you have been broken by. The boy's outrage vanished as quickly as it appeared. He was taken aback because it was the first time he had received such high praise. With gratitude, the boy said, "Thank you, old man. Now I have several things that I need to give to you." "What are they?" "Hold on for one moment." The old man came back holding a few things, knelt before the boy, and gave him a daisho. Presenting the boy with the katana, the man said, "This is Uarakai. Tender hands." The man gave the boy the wakizashi and said, "This is Hagashi Seishin, unwavering spirit." They are a pair of swords forged by one of the greatest swordsmiths ever, Masamune. It is rumored that he put his soul into these 2 swords. Is that even possible? Yes, it is very possible. When someone is at the height of their craft, their work transcends to an entirely different level. They become one with their craft. Masamune was one such man, and there are not many like him in this world. Naruto looked down at the blades in their sheaths. He reached for the katana as if drawn by an invisible force. The blade felt perfect in his hands. He removed the blade from its sheath gradually. He had never seen anything so exquisite. It is said that when he forged this sword, he placed it in a stream. All manner of things flowed past it. Leaves, fishes and even the air, yet none were cut. This is a blade that does not cut that which is undeserving. You must understand that the sword is a reflection of its owner. If you use it as simply a tool to kill indiscriminately, it will take life, but in the process you will lose access to the true power of the sword. How do I access the true power of the sword? As I said before, you need to listen to your sword. There are wonders in it that even I have not been able to access. The boy was shocked and said, "Really? Yes, and I believe that you will be able to wield the true power of the blades." The wakizashi Hagashi Seishin, unwavering spirit, is the companion sword of Uarakai. Tender hands. They are each other's yin and yang. Strength and tenderness. They go hand in hand, side by side. "Thank you, old man." Reaching to his side, the elderly man gave Naruto 2 garments and said, "I am not done yet, young one." The first was a black kimono that resembled the boy's outfit quite a bit. There was one distinction, though. The kanji for fire was printed on the front. You serve the Fire Lord in the land of fire. You are not a Konoha shinobi. Konoha is but a tiny portion of the vast nation known as the Country of Fire. You are about to embark on a unique journey as a samurai in a ninja village. I know you love this village, and to be honest, I really don't know why after all it put you through. However, as a samurai your loyalty lies first and foremost with the daimyo of Fire Country. With a word or a decree he could bring Konoha to its knees. Of course you already know this because you studied everything there is to know about the elemental nations. His life is vital to the stability of the country, even more so than the Hokage. Do you understand? After a brief moment of hesitation, Naruto responded in the affirmative. To him, Sandaime resembled a grandfather. I know that you the Hokage have a close relationship, however, you must also understand that your feelings come secondary to the safety and livelihood of the many. Having learned every lesson by heart, Naruto uttered the words, Dakodo number 4. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Yes, in the grander scheme of things your personal feelings are insignificant to the plight of the many. Man has inflicted so much pain and destruction upon each other because of greed and selfishness. The world is much bigger and much more important than our own selfish desires. Our lives are important, that is true. But one life is not worth thousands or millions. The whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. You are not as important as you think you are, and yet, you are important as you think you are. In the grand scheme of Kami, your life is like a grain of sand. However, the beach is not made up of a single grain of sand, is it not? The boy responded, no, it is made of millions of grains of sand. Exactly, if I focus on myself, I will miss the whole world. I need to look at the world in its entirety. Exactly, you have learned well, young one. This is the second item of clothing I have for you, the girl said, handing the boy a stunning piece of traditional samurai battle armor. This was my son's armor. He died honorably in battle during the time when the land was unstable due to the warring clans. I kept it in the hope that you would honor me by wearing it in battle. In many ways I see my son in you. Naruto's eyes were starting to well up with tears. Nobody has ever shown him such kindness or given him a gift like this. With a solemn tone, Naruto bowed deeply and said, I will not dishonor your son's memory. I know, young one, samurai lives are lives of service. You are a samurai, and the word samurai means one who serves or servant. Who do you serve? The daimyo and the people of High no Kuni. It is not a story of renown, splendor, or status. It's not about showing off your skills and emerging victorious in big fights. The samurai's path is one of duty, honor, courage, benevolence, politeness, sincerity, loyalty and self-control, Naruto said as he finished his master's statement. Keep these ideals close to your heart, for they are the code of Bushido. Hi, master, old man, what about the Hokage? Think of him as your general and thus will follow his orders. However, your priority will always be daimyo and people of fire country. The hierarchy is this: the daimyo, the people, the Hokage. It will be hard for you to accept because of your close relationship to the Hokage, but this is how things work in the life of a samurai. Hi, I understand. Now on to matters of your training. The boy perked up at hearing of more training. When you are finished with your squad and missions, you will report back to me, to begin you lessons in calligraphy, sado or tea drinking, proper mannerisms and the academic arts. The boy perked down when he heard what his training would consist of. Ah man, these are important things you must learn. What does tea drinking have to do with being a samurai? It teaches you to honor the most simple of things. You will see I teach you it. Besides, it will come in handy someday. I don't see where it will come in handy sometime, but if you say so. Calligraphy will teach you about swordplay and grace. Study in mannerism is self-explanatory, and study in academia is to keep you well educated. You don't want to become an uneducated brute, do you? No, I don't. Good answer. So I will see you tomorrow after you are finished with your team meeting and assignments. Yes, sensei. Rest well, young one, for tomorrow you walk the path of the servant, you walk the path of the samurai. The following day passed by rapidly, and Naruto took his time getting ready after breakfast because he needed to get to the academy by 11 a.m. He was dressed in his typical outfit, a jet black kimono with an orange spiral at the back and the kanji for fire on the left breast. His daisho was safely fastened to his waist by a red sash, and his black sandals completed the look of his casual outfit. As he was about to step out the door, he felt Mayushi enter his field of vision. The boy pondered, I wonder what the old coot wants. He noticed the elderly man approaching as soon as he went outside. Are you ready, young one? Yes, old man, but why are you here? I am here to escort my second son to the academy, of course. Naruto was unable to speak. He had always desired to have someone walk him to school and be there for him during significant events. Come on, let's go, brat, or we'll be late. With a smile, the boy said, Hi, old coot. The successful graduates were already occupying the academy classroom. They had formed their own little groups already. Kiba, Nara Shikamaru, and Akamichi Choji were seated next to each other and conversing. As it was, Shikamaru was dozing off and Choji and Kiba were conversing. Hyuga Hinata and Aburame Shino were having a private conversation. Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino got into a heated argument over who would get to marry their beloved Sasuke-kun. Sitting by himself and gazing outside, the Uchiha was contemplating retaliation. Next was Satsuko Tamagashi, the very last student in the class. Mizuki and Iruka were in class already, organizing their belongings for the group projects. Alone with Mayushi, Naruto said, Well, young one, this is it. The next stage of your journey awaits you inside, as they stood outside the academy. Thanks, old coot. No problem, snot-nosed brat. I will see you later. Hi, see you later, within the classroom. Okay, kids, calm down. Team assignments are about to begin. When they learned about team assignments, the typically rowdy group actually paid attention. Iruka started, Team 1 will consist of, and continued until he got to Team 7. Haruno Sakura and Uchiha Sasuke will make up Team 7. Sakura interrupted the teacher's announcement with, Yes, woohoo, I'm on Sasuke-kun's team. Quiet, Haruno, now is not the time for this. The girl apologized to Iruka-sensei before turning to face Ino and pulling a face. The girl gave the same response. As I was saying, Team 7 will consist of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and Satsuko Tamagashi. Your Jonin-sensei will be Hitaki Kakashi. Team 8 will consist of Inuzuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino. Your Jonin-sensei will be Yuri Kurenai. Team 9 is still on the roster. Therefore, Team 10 will consist of Yamanaka Ino, Akamichi Choji and Nara Shikamaru. Your Jonin-sensei will be Sarutobi Asuma. Why me? I get the lazy bum and the eating machine while Sakura gets Sasuke-kun, Ino moaned. Choji kept eating his chips, and Shikamaru merely uttered the word, troublesome. I have to announce to the class that a new student will soon be arriving. Sakura remarked, a new student is coming. But Iruka-sensei, everyone has graduated. Well, he is not a student per se. He in a unique situation within Konoha. Sasuke remarked, so he is just another rejected shinobi who somehow made the grade. Actually Sasuke, he is not a shinobi, Kiba exclaimed. What? He's not a shinobi and he's going to be with us. Yes Kiba, he is being placed on a 2-week rotation with all the genin squads to find a team that best fits him to work with. May I inquire Iruka-sensei, if he is not a shinobi then what is he? Asked Shino. He is a samurai, Kiba, Ino, Satsuko, and Sakura all yelled. Whoa, a samurai. Troublesome. Shikamaru exclaimed as he raised his head in response to the mention of samurai. This new development intrigued Sasuke a little. Perhaps things around here could get a little interesting. Silently, Shino and Hinata were taking in the chaos occurring in the classroom. Now he will start his 2-week rotation with Team 8. Hinata grew tense, Shino was expressionless, and Kiba had a thoughtful expression. That's it, you will now have to bide your time until your Jonin-sensei shows up. I'm proud of all of you and wish you luck. Naruto arrived in the classroom as soon as he was done. When the small boy entered, the room fell silent. He was wearing a black kimono and had 2 blades around his waist. Hello there, you are just on time. Class, this is Uzumaki Naruto and he is Konoha's resident samurai. He will be serving with you all as part of Konoha's military forces. The boy moved forward, bowing courteously. I look forward to serving with you all. Mizuki didn't care and wasn't paying attention to what was going on. However, he became enraged the moment he saw Naruto. His sense of danger intensified as he finished speaking because he sensed that someone was trying to hurt him. He instinctively turned to face Mizuki in a guarded manner. The whole class observed as a tense silence enveloped the room. With a nasty tone, he exclaimed, Hey brat! Weapons aren't allowed in the classroom. Give them to me now. No. You will not possess my swords, Naruto uttered, maintaining his posture. Mizuki, this is superfluous, Iruka said. He approached the boy slowly, oblivious to Iruka's situation, and said, You impudent little brat, give me those swords. If you try to take these swords by force Mizuki-san, I will break your arms. The statement made by Naruto stunned the class. Who do you think you are, you stupid brat, threatening a superior officer? You want to forcefully take my swords with no good reason. Mizuki answered, Weapons are not allowed in the classroom. Naruto pointed to the seated students and said, They have graduated and are now officially part of the military force of Konoha. They have earned the right to bear arms. It is the same with me. I have earned the right to wear my swords. Just listen to me brat, do as I say, Mizuki. Let the boy keep his swords. No, Iruka, he will not. This is the last time I am telling you this. If you try to take my swords forcefully, I will break your arms. You seem pretty confident in yourself. You sound as if you will actually be able to follow through on that threat. I do not make idle threats, Mizuki-san. Iruka grew even more aggressive. Stop it now, Mizuki. He has done nothing wrong and he will be allowed to carry his swords. Mizuki, though reluctantly, retreated. He gave the boy a fierce look and continued to ignore everything else. He has a lot of guts to threaten a Chunin in that way, I must say. Sasuke thought, I'm excited to have him on my team. Maybe we could spar and see how good he is. It's interesting that he displays no fear in the face of a Chunin-level shinobi. Does he really have that much faith in his abilities? Thought Shino. The other students in the class were too shocked to process what had just transpired. The new guy's threat to break a Chunin instructor's arms was all that was on their minds. A hint of anxiety was starting to surface in a few of the pupils. Uzumaki Naruto, isn't he the dobi that failed the genin exams twice before? Kiba said. Oh, he is, Ino responded. Ha, he couldn't make it as a shinobi and now he wants to be a lowly samurai. This is too funny, Kiba said. Naruto was about to lose control of his anger when he recalled Mayushi's advice. He's just a mirror reflecting your own anger back at you. Yes, I am that Uzumaki Naruto. Ha, I knew it, once a dobi, always a dobi, don't you know that? Said Kiba. Just don't keep back my team. I am sure I won't, dog boy. What did you call me, dobi? I always thought dogs had good senses of hearing and scent. Are you sure you are an Inuzuka? Kiba yelled, "Why you?" as he stood to assault the boy. The students started making jokes about Kiba. Alright, that's enough. Have a seat, Naruto. For the first 2 weeks you are assigned to Team 8, which consists of your good friend Inuzuka Kiba, Aburame Shino and Hyuga Hinata. Your Jonin sensei is Yuhi Kurenai. Your next assignment will be on Team 10 and then Team 7. He replied, "Thank you, Iruka sensei," and walked to his new, temporary teammates who were seated in the back of the class. He was walking over to the seat directly beside Hinata. He could not get a clear picture of her face because her head was down. But as he drew nearer, he was able to see more of her face and thought, "She's really cute. I'm going to enjoy my 2 weeks with this team." "Hello Hinata.san. Shino.san. Nice to meet you." "Hello. Naruto.san. This is Hyuga Hinata, and my name is Aburame Shino. It is a pleasure to meet you as well. I hope we have a fruitful 2 weeks with each other." "Same here Shino.san." After about 15 minutes, Jonin sensei from Team 8 showed up. "I am Yuhi Kurenai and I've come to collect my Genin squad and one Uzumaki Naruto." The 4 kids got up and walked over to their Jonin sensei. "Alright, you're all here. Good, let's head over to Training Ground 8. As they traveled to the training area, Shino questioned Naruto about his brief altercation with Mizuki. "Naruto, I wanted to know more about your actions towards Mizuki sensei on our first day of class, if you wish to tell." "Well Shino.san, samurai don't just give up their swords to anyone just like that, and Mizuki was attempting to force me to give up my sword. It's like someone trying to force you to give up your bugs, Kiba to give up Akamaru or Hinata her Byakugan. It won't be done without one hell of a fight, am I right?" "You are most certainly correct Uzumaki.san. It is the same with my sword. It is part of me like your bugs. A lifelong companion like Akamaru is to Kiba and a part of my new heritage as Hinata's Byakugan. Therefore, had Mizuki successfully carried out his attempt to take my sword, I would have carried out my threat." "Were you serious about your threat? My sensei taught me to always let my actions and words are one and the same. I said I would break his arms, and that is what I would have done had he carried out his plan." Kurenai was standing close by, listening carefully to what was being said. She completely agreed with the boy's logic and understood it. She also knew that this incident would undoubtedly be reported to the Hokage, who would then need to take action. "Naruto, you do know that threatening bodily harm to another member of our military forces, especially a superior officer, is a very serious act," Kurenai told the boy. The boy said decisively, "I will just have to pay the consequences of my actions, Kurenai.san." "That's great," the Jonin answered, after 8 and 15 minutes on the training ground. The foursome showed up at Training Ground 8 for their first meeting as a team. "Hello there. Welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you all here with me today. Since we are all meeting for the first time, let's begin with some introductions, starting with me. My name is Yuhi Kurenai, also known as the Genjutsu Mistress of Konoha. I like reading, spending time with my friends, and Genjutsu. I dislike perverts. My favorite food is fried rice and tofu. It is my aim to be one of the top kunoichi of my generation." The stunning Jonin inquired, "Who's willing to go next?" Naturally, it was Kiba. "My name in Inuzuka Kiba. I like my partner Akamaru, my clan. I dislike anyone who doesn't like dogs. My favorite food is roast chicken, and my dream for the future is to be the best tracker that the Inuzuka has ever had." "Good Kiba. Now who's next?" "I'm going," Shino declared. "My name is Aburame Shino. I like bugs, training, and my clan. I dislike people who judge without first getting to know a situation or person. I would like to be a capable clan head on day." "Hinata. M. My name is Hyuga Hinata. I like growing and pressing flowers and reading. I dislike bad people, and one day I would like to end the division in my clan." "That's a noble goal you have there, Hinata." Then the Jonin turned to face Naruto. "Uzumaki, would you like to share some things about yourself with us?" "Sure, it's no problem Kurenai.san. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I like ramen, training, my swords, reading, and my precious people. I used to dislike myself, but I don't anymore. My goal is to serve the country of fire to the best of my ability. I didn't hate myself before, but now I don't." The remainder of the thought. "Okay, good. Now normally the Jonin would give some kind of teamwork test to determine whether or not you all could work as a team. However, I won't do that with you all because I don't expect you all work as a team in 5 minutes. Teamwork takes time and effort to build, so what I am going to do is give you a small mission of sorts. It is designed to get you working together. Based on the results of the mission, I will know where to start the group off." As Kiba exclaimed, A mission for us already? Cool. Sandane. Sama created this team for espionage and infiltration purposes. Each of you, with the exception of Naruto whom I don't really know, has an ability that lends itself to the field. Therefore, most of our training will be geared towards that. This is an espionage and infiltration mission. There is a document in a hut at this location, Kurenai said while presenting them with a map. After completing your mission, you are to retrieve this document and meet here. Then Naruto raised his voice, asking, do you know anything about the security details surrounding the hut or potential enemies we might encounter? Kurenai was taken aback by the bright boy's inquiry. Kurenai lied to the group, claiming that enemy number and formation is unknown. How about the possibility of coming across an enemy? Queried Shino. Be ready because you will face the enemy. All I'm giving you is that. With approval, they all nodded. Good luck. The stunning Jonin vanished out of existence. You have until PM to get the scroll and head back to the meeting place. All right, let's move on, Kiba uttered. No, there are too many unknown variables, so we can't just jump in blindly. We must devise a course of action, Shino remarked. I agree with Shino. Kiba, you are being too reckless, Naruto said. Following his being ganged up on, the boy said, okay, let's cook something up. Would anything you would like to make an input Uzumaki.san? Yes, Shino.san. This mission has far too many unknowns, as you accurately pointed out. She is, after all, Konoha's expert in genjutsu, so I predict that we will run into a lot of them. That's correct, so we must prepare for genjutsu. Anyo. Genjutsu will not be a problem, my Byakugan can see through genjutsu. Yes, so we will just dispel them as we go along, said Kiba. That sounds good. We must also expect other forms of traps, because I am sure she knows that we will be expecting genjutsu, Shino added. Kiba chimed in, she's just one Jonin and 4 of us. She is very skilled and has years of experience, even though we have the numerical advantage. If she wasn't proficient enough for the rank, she wouldn't be a Jonin. Our numerical advantage might mean nothing in this scenario, Naruto remarked. Yes, let us begin by finding the location of the hut, do some recon and then we will formulate a plan, Shino said. What shape should we adopt? Inquired Hinata. Kiba will lead the charge. His keen hearing and smell sense will help us steer clear of any needless conflicts. As Kiba searches the area and sets the various genjutsu traps we come across, Hinata will be right behind him. Shino, you'll be scouting with your bugs right behind Hinata as well. If something goes wrong with your retreat, I will cover it. Does this sound sufficiently convincing? Yes, that formation is both logical and effective, Shino said. Good plan for Adobe, thanks Dogboy. The plan is good Naruto.kun. Many thanks, Hinata. Should we leave now, since Kurenai.san probably has to wait for us? After 1.5 hours, with Kurenai they don't seem to be around here. Perhaps they got lost. No, they're too intelligent for that. I guess they stopped to make a plan. Guy's team would be in the area, providing an obstacle to the team. The Jonin also said genjutsu and normal traps on the route that they would have to take because of the presence of Guy's team. Kurenai had already set up the entire training exercise beforehand and she had already alerted the other Jonin sensei about the exercise. All she needed to do now was wait until they arrived. Team 8 and Naruto are back together. The 4 kids were moving through Konoha's training grounds, meeting very little resistance until Hinata noticed something with her Byakugan. Anyo, I noticed something about 300 feet away to the northeast of where we are. Team Guy is there, and they appear to be in training. The group stopped to evaluate the circumstances. Does Hinata see another path? Questioned Shino. Yes, we have 2 choices. We can approach Team Guy from the left or the right. We will arrive at our destination more quickly if we go left, but there are more training grounds there, which increases the likelihood that we will be discovered. We will take longer if we head to the right because there is more dense forest there, but there is also less chance of being seen. We're about to enter a trap, Naruto declared. I have to say that I agree. Shino stated, Kurenai. Sensei set this up on purpose. She knew somehow that Guy.san would be there and we would have to take the more difficult route in order to not be detected. Now, what should we do? Questioned Kiba. Well, she's essentially pressuring us to choose the more challenging path so that we can waste time and put off the mission as long as possible. She is aware that the Byakugan is capable of seeing through genjutsu, so it will be challenging to avoid the genjutsu traps. He pointed to a spot on the map and said, therefore, she will be expecting us to come from this location. So why don't we avoid the traps entirely and engage her from the back? But what about the forest? It gets really dense if we go too far in. I know because my mom takes me out there a lot to help me train, said Kiba. That's even better. Since you are familiar with the area, things will go much more smoothly for us. There's no way we can't make a timely circle around her location between the three of you. She won't be expecting that, I'm sure. Just now, things have turned around in our favor. It's a good plan, Uzumaki-san, that we are now operating on our terms, Shino remarked. It's a good plan, I agree, Hinata remarked. That's a good idea, not bad for Adobe, Kiba said. Then lead the way, dog. Boy. I'm going to get you for it. Let's move. They regrouped and circumnavigated the area Kurenai had set up for them, which was rife with traps. No, not yet, Naruto answered. Not Uzumaki-san, then? Queried Shino. We'll need to mount a retreat if our plan is found out. Since Kurenai-san will attempt to obstruct our escape, she will be the aggressor. She intends to accomplish this by entering the area she set up as a trap. That makes sense, because she set them up, she will know how to get through them, Kiba commented. S. So we have to delay her in this area to buy time for our retreat, then, said Hinata. Yes, we will need to slow her down before we engage her. Fight our sensei, please? Hinata was starting to become anxious. Indeed, at this moment, she is not your sensei but rather your adversary who aims to prevent us from leaving with important knowledge. Hinata, do you understand now? Yes, I understand now. This will be easy, we outnumber her 5-1, said Kiba. Yes, we do, but we are 3 genin, a dog, a young samurai, and herself, while she is a jonin. Kiba, keep in mind that jonin are the top shinobi. She makes up for our lack of numbers with her skill and experience, Shino retorted to Kiba's assertion. Shino is right, we must slow her down and take her on as a group. How will we go about doing that? Inquired Hinata. In order to give ourselves enough time to position ourselves, we're going to first set up some traps here. Next, we'll lay traps along our route to conceal our escape. We'll confront any assailants with our numbers and traps. And what will we do if she manages to get past our traps here and prevent us from leaving? Questioned Kiba. After that, we battle our way past her, Shino uttered. All right, Akamaru, we're going to get to show them what we can do, the puppy said, giving a hearty woof in response. Let's get out, Shino declared. The other group members responded with nods. Alongside Kurenai, the 2 Kage Bunshin were left in charge of the hut by the mistress of Genjutsu, who went to check on her temporary charge and students. There's no sign of the group yet, so they must be trapped in the trap I set for them. Even with Hinata in the group, they won't be leaving anytime soon. Perhaps I was a little too strict with them, after all, they just graduated from the academy. When she arrived at the location of her Genjutsu minefield, she searched for the unfortunate children but couldn't find any. Perhaps they chose the easy route because they aren't here? Taking the easy route is not always the best for shinobi, especially when they are an espionage and infiltration team, as I will have to teach them. After an hour, the party arrived directly behind the cabin. It was beyond the Kage Bunshin's sense range, but it was squarely within Hinata's Baikugan's reach. Shino, can you get your bugs to enter the hut to locate and retrieve the scroll? Naruto asked. I could try, the bug reporter answered, and he actually did that. A few minutes later, he spoke. My bugs have located the scroll, but I need to get closer. I do not have the ability as yet to control so many of my bugs at such a long distance. All right, let's get closer, Naruto uttered. To give Shino more room to do his thing, the group moved in closer to the hut. The bugs entered the hut through a small opening in the window and started to remove the scroll through the opening. As a result, the 2 Kage Bunshin outside were alerted by the faint click of the window's latch being released. Alongside the 2 Kage Bunshin, after hearing a clicking sound inside the hut, the Kage Bunshin closest to it made the decision to investigate. When the Bunshin entered the hut, he saw nothing strange. However, upon checking the scroll, he discovered it was missing. The Bunshin realized the window at the back of the hut was open while they were frantically looking for the scroll. Glancing through the window, she observed a dark huddle of insects transporting the scroll towards the edge of the trees. She yelled to the other Kage Bunshin, "Shit, they're behind us," and quickly started chasing after the scroll. Returning to Shino and company, I got the scroll, but it seems that the strange Bunshin have caught on to our little scheme. Okay, as soon as we get the scroll we get out of here, said Kiba. Hinata remarked, the Bunshin are closing fast. Okay, here's the plan. We retreat to last set of traps we set and we engage the Bunshin there. Kiba, you and Hinata will take on one Bunshin and I will engage the other. Shino, You will guard the scroll, and if you can support me from long range. If the first set of traps fail, we move on to the next. Everyone got that? They all nodded in agreement. It was then that Shino received the scroll. Leave, Kiba uttered. They withdrew to their final ambush position. Alongside the cage Bunshin. One Bunshin remarked, "They're retreating, quick, let's catch up to them." The other person asked, "How did they manage to get behind us?" "I don't know, but however they did it we'll find out later. For now we need the scroll back." "Yeah, I know, tricked by a bunch of kids straight out of the academy. The other Jonin are gonna have a field day with this. Yeah, especially Asuma. Don't forget Anko. My god, no, not Anko. She'll give us no rest with the heckling. We need to get those scrolls back." The two cage Bunshin accelerated their chase. Accompanied by Naruto and others, Hinata remarked, "They're almost upon us. We attack just after the trap is sprung. That way gain the maximum advantage, not matter how short it may last." In their haste, the cage Bunshin ran straight into the trap that the samurai and genin had set. Alongside cage Bunshin, they were racing to catch up with the group that was waiting. "Why aren't they running?" questioned one Bunshin. "They must have realized that they can't outrun us and so decided to fight." Oh, Bunshin was so wrong. Its feet struck a tripwire as it was finishing its statement, launching a hail of kunai at them. One Bunshin exclaimed, "Shit, a trap," as the two started to block the lethal kunai hail. When they came to a halt, Bunshin heard Gatsuga and saw Kiba spinning around and coming straight for them. They retreated from the attack by turning away from each other. The second was met with a mop of blonde hair before it could respond to assist the first. "You're not going anywhere, Ashish. They split us up," Bunshin thought. Alongside Naruto and company, as the toe Bunshin Naruto was being hit by a hail of kunai, he spoke. "The trap is sprung." Kiba aimed for the middle of the two and separate them. Hinata attacked the one Kiba's right. "I will take the one to the left. Shino, you know what to do." He yelled as the final two kunai were blocked. "Now," they exclaimed as they entered the small skirmish. Alongside the cage Bunshin that Naruto battled. "Whoa, I haven't been able to hit a hit on this kid yet. He's very skilled at taijutsu. He seems to be flowing in and out with his attacks, dodging every one of mine." She could see a swarm of bugs racing toward her in her peripheral vision. "Shit." As she avoided the bugs, she said, "They're working really well together and this is their first time together." But because she was preoccupied with the bugs, she took multiple hits to various parts of her body. "He attacked me while I was distracted. This child." The Bunshin poofed themselves extinct. "Good job, Shino. Let's go help Kiba and Hinata." "That won't be necessary. Kiba and Hinata have dispatched the second clone." In Kurenai's presence, all she was doing was crossing over to the other place they could have gone. That was prior to her being endowed with her cage Bunshin's memories. What the hell? They got the scroll and are heading back to the rendezvous point. She walked straight through the area she had set up as a trap, just as Naruto had warned, saying, "I have to head them off before they reach." Alongside Naruto and friends. "That didn't go too bad. Good job everyone, let's head back. I think Kurenai-san will be waiting to greet us." Kiba questioned, "What will we do then?" "Hinata and I will engage her from the front and you from the side. Shino will attack any opening she presents." "Hinata, you okay with that?" "Yes Naruto, I am. Don't tire yourself out fighting her, it would just be wasting energy on a stronger opponent. We just need to reach the rendezvous point. Once we reach there we attack her with everything we have. We will use the same formation as before, until we meet her." "Why, the scroll is already with us," Kiba remarked. "Yes, but we don't know what will happen, as it is we are still in hostile territory. We cannot change our formation because the mission is not completed," Shino replied. "We will continue as before, it is the safest thing to do." "You all ready to go?" Naguto inquired. Yes, they all responded positively, and they all shot off in the direction of where they were going to meet. After 45 minutes of travel, Kurenai was found by Hinata standing motionless in the clearing where the traps had been left. "She's there just as Naruto said, she's waiting on us." After entering the clearing, the group encountered a very curious Jonin. "So I must commend you all on what you have accomplished here. I wasn't expecting this level of teamwork from students fresh out of the academy and a young samurai in training." "Don't you know? We kick ass, Kurenai. Sensei," Kiba said. "Who came up with the plan to go around the trap instead of through it?" Kiba opened his mouth to speak, but Shino interrupted. "I am sorry Kurenai. Sensei, but we have a mission to complete and you are in the way." The others nodded in agreement as he turned to face them. Both Naruto and Hinata advanced, with Hinata striking the standard Juken stance and Naruto striking an odd taijutsu stance that Kurenai was unable to identify. Which position is that? She pondered. As she assumed her fighting stance, she uttered, "Very well then, a fight it is." Kurenai was ecstatic about her student's assault. Naruto launched the assault first, feinting to the left before advancing to the right. After spotting the ruse, the Jonin shifted to her left. For a while, the two traded blows until Hinata entered the fight. Kurenai was already struggling to get along with the little boy. He is very hard to hit and was a skilled taijutsu fighter despite his size. As Hinata entered the battle, things grew worse. She was always on the defensive and the two had her on edge. She was too preoccupied to realize she was now in a different position within the group. She heard, "Gatsuga," as Hinata and Naruto leapt in different directions, and she leapt back. Kiba and Akamaru greeted her, with Naruto to his left, Hinata to his right, and Shino behind them. The Jonin remarked, "So Shino, you have the scroll, don't you?" "I do not know what you are speaking about, Kurenai. Sensei, I am here for combat support." "Oh really? So why haven't you joined the battle?" "Because I don't need to, we already achieved our objective." "And what objective was that?" "To get you out of our way. You see you were blocking our path to our rendezvous point, and now that you are no longer blocking our path, we can complete our mission." Kurenai started to applaud. "I am really proud of you all. I honestly did not expect you to display so much planning and forethought for a team fresh out of the academy. So tell me who had the scroll." "I did, Sensei," Shino answered. "You were bluffing then about being long-range support for your team?" "No, actually I am the long-range support for my team, it just so happened that I held the scroll." "You can open the scroll and read what it says." When Shino followed instructions, it said, "Congratulations. You passed the test if you have this scroll." "So we passed then, Sensei?" "Yes, and with flying colors. Come, let's head back to the training ground." Half an hour later, after returning to training ground 8, the entire group met their Jonin caretaker for a debriefing. "So I already know who stole the scroll, now I would like to know the reasoning for your course of action." Shino made the decision to clarify. "Well, Sensei, we deduced that you arranged everything so that Team Guy would be a direct obstacle to reaching our location. Hinata.san informed us that if we go left, we would reach our destination faster but stand a greater chance of being spotted. If we go right, we would take longer but stand a lesser chance of being spotted. So how come you didn't go through the area that I deliberately set as a trap?" Uzumaki.san deduced that we would be going directly into a genjutsu trap. He suggested that we avoid it altogether because you would be expecting to go through it because Hinata would be able to see through the genjutsu and let us through. "That was good thinking, Uzumaki, his tactical and reasoning skills are good." Shino went on. He also suggested that we go all the way around and approach the hut behind. Kiba guided us around the deeper part of the woods since he knew his way around as a result of training sessions with his mom. "And what about the traps? We knew that you would figure out our plan, you're a Jonin after all, so we had to delay you somehow. Although those strange Bunshin were quite troublesome. We decided to separate them and whichever team defeated their opponent first would come to help the others." "Naruto, I am curious, what did you not use your sword? It would given your team an advantage." "That is true, Kurenai.san, but I do not bear my sword against comrades." "That is good, it speaks highly of you. Thank you, Kurenai.san." "No problem, Naruto, and I see you are pretty good at taijutsu. That was a strange stance you took there." "It is something that my master taught me as a compliment to my sword." "All right, fair enough. I have to admit that you guys have shown excellent planning and execution, and I'm really proud to say that you've exceeded my expectations by a significant margin." There was a smile on all four of them. "Hee. Yes, Akamaru, we did exactly that, we kicked butt." The dog replied with a playful bark. "Akamaru did all the work, Kiba, so it was Akamaru who kicked butt, not you." "What you say, you doby? Akamaru, you need to take your pet to the vet to check its hearing, okay?" Akamaru gave a bark of approval in response. "Why are you?" Kiba was about to charge at Naruto when Kurenai intervened. "All right, that concludes our time together for today. Come back here tomorrow morning at 9 to start our missions. Please watch out for Hinata and Shino so they don't murder one another." "Yes, Sensei," each of them answered. The Jonin said, "Very well then, see you tomorrow," before vanishing with a shunshin. They all shouted out, "Hi," at once. As they strolled back toward the village, the group discussed the brief training exercise. "I have to say, Uzumaki, you did a pretty good job today. I believe that your inability to be a shinobi would have hindered your cooperation with us. No issue, Shino, but today went really well for everyone. Hinata, you two were quite courageous and provided us with excellent guidance. Thank you Naruto.kun, Shino thought. Naruto.kun? Apparently Naruto.san has quite an impression on Hinata.san. Kiba didn't notice the girl's statement because he was too busy bragging about how amazing he was. It was time for the group to split up once they arrived at the village. Shino nodded to each of them and said, I'm excited to work with you all tomorrow. Same here Shino, Naruto said. I gotta go now guys, I have to meet up with my sensei for training. You're going to train now that we've done everything? Inquired Kiba, a little taken aback. Indeed, the elderly man is a slave owner. Farewell, Hinata-chan. Goodbye, Naruto.kun. Goodbye, Kiba and Shino, see you tomorrow. Together with his Jonin sensei and the Hokage. All you all are the last of the Jonin sensei to report about your different exercises yesterday. Team 10 passes. Just like their predecessors, their teamwork is great, Asuma said at the outset. I believe it's most likely because of the amount of time they spent together after class. After all, their families are close. There is no denying that Ino is in charge. Although Shikamaru is a sloth, he can be made to work when pushed, and Shoji gets along great with Shikamaru. No surprises there, as I previously stated. Well, I had that much suspicion. What about your team, Kakashi? Everyone knew that Kakashi has never passed a Genin squad, and it appeared that this year wouldn't be any different, so the other two Jonin waited in tense silence. Team 7 passes. What? As one, they all exclaimed. They barely make it through. Sakura clings to Sasuke like a true fangirl. Satsuko tries really hard but still needs a lot of work, and Sasuke is a lone wolf who acts entirely on his own. Even though they triumphed in the end, I would have preferred for them to be back in the academy. I am aware, though, that returning the final Uchiha heir to the academy would not be permitted by the council. So I made the decision to pass the team and spare myself the suffering. The others had to admit that he was right when he said that the council would not permit the final Uchiha to return to the academy because he was too valuable to the village. You say accurate things concerning the council. Had you failed the Uchiha, they would not have let it. To sum up, Kurenai.san, how about Naruto and your team? They performed flawlessly. They greatly exceeded my anticipations. Really now, would you like to explain? They accurately assessed my approach, and not only did they not fall for it, but they also devised a bold plan of their own. They even made predictions about what would be my most likely move in specific circumstances. This is very interesting. Continue. Considering that they were a newly formed group, their teamwork was outstanding. Though I think the friendship between Shino and Hinata during their time in the academy may have played a role. All of them demonstrated excellent teamwork, though. I should also mention that Naruto showed remarkable, if peculiar, taijutsu for his age. Anything further? They all contributed significantly to the mission's success. Everybody completed the task that was given to them. They seem like they would make a fantastic team, and I am excited to collaborate with them. How do you feel about Naruto? I'm not sure because I haven't really spent any time with him. I could state that, according to Shino's explanation, he and Naruto were the primary designers of the mission's success. Very well then, you all are dismissed and see you tomorrow. Collectively, they exclaimed, Hi, Hokage. Sama, and started to depart. Later on that night, before going to Mayushi's shop, Naruto had showered, changed, and had a quick meal at Ichiraku's in his apartment. However, word of his little altercation in class had spread throughout the village, and while he was on his way there, he was called to the Hokage's office. In front of the Hokage tower, Mizuki, Naruto, and Iruka were standing in front of the Hokage. I've heard rumors of an altercation between Naruto and Mizuki, the academy teacher. Is this accurate? Yes, Hokage. Sama, Iruka answered. Uzumaki Naruto came to class to be assigned to a Genin squad. He was asked to surrender his swords by Mizuki when he entered the classroom, and she did so with force. Uzumaki.san gave a negative response in response. Then Mizuki started trying to take the swords away with force. At that moment, Uzumaki.san vowed to break his hands if he tried to seize his swords by force. I was able to defuse the situation after persuading the others. With a solemn tone, the Sandame asked, anyone else has anything to say about the situation? We all know that weapons are not permitted on school grounds, but this brat had swords in the classroom, Hokage. Sama. They posed a risk to the class's pupils. My swords are a part of me, Hokage. Sama. Uchiha have their Sharingan, Hyuga have their Byakugan, and Inuzuka have their dogs. The samurai have their swords, the Akamichi have their sais, the Nara have their shadows, and the Kurama have their genjutsu. It would be equivalent to asking one of the aforementioned clans to give up the things that define them to demand that a samurai give up his swords in a violent manner. The outcome would be the same in each of those cases. A sword, tool, or weapon is only as dangerous as the person wielding it, according to a lesson I learned from my sensei. If a man knows what he's doing, he can kill a man with a finely sharpened blade with a stick. I didn't intend to hurt my allies, and Mizuki-san tried to take away the things that make me who I am. The Sandame retorted, but you still threatened a superior officer. The boy made a deep bow and said, and for this, I would like to apologize for my actions, Hokage. Sama. You can look at me now, Naruto. The Sandame was suitably impressed by Naruto's handling of the current situation. A year or so ago, the entire room would have been in a flurry because Naruto would have caused mayhem in the office. However, he was unable to ignore the fact that Naruto had threatened to injure a superior officer. This was a grave offense that needed to be addressed. While you both have good points, there was another way you could have handled the situation. Mizuki, you could have spoken to Naruto-san more politely, and Naruto, you didn't need to threaten to hurt the teacher. As a result of your actions, Mikuji, you will lose 1 month's pay. You were supposed to be a more composed instructor in that circumstance. As for you, Naruto, it's a serious offense to threaten to harm a senior officer physically. You will not be receiving your genin salary for the next 2 months. Iruka was horrified to hear about Naruto's punishment and wanted to protest, but you don't mess with the Sandame when he's in a mood like that. A month's salary was nothing to Mizuki, especially since he worked for Orochimaru, and the brat would starve for 2 months instead, a minor but nonetheless significant victory. Iruka, I appreciate your time, and Mizuki, please control your temper. You are both let go. You stay behind, Naruto. Naruto, did you really have to do what you did? The Sandame asked as the two walked away and shut the door. I think so, Gigi. I had to make my point. I regret that you had to deal with this. A samurai and his sword are one. I apologize for the hefty fine I had to pay you. Naruto, you received the lightest penalty I could have given you because that was a serious offense. Still, I'm really impressed with how you handled the matter. Your response would have been entirely different a year ago. Thanks, Gigi. The old coot is training me proper manners. It seems like he's not entirely successful, the Sandame remarked with a sly grin. Nope, I will only use manners when I need to. Haha, I am glad to hear that, Naruto. You're different and at the same time the same, Naruto. No issue, Gigi. As the village leader, you cannot permit everyone to act as they please. Gigi, I observed something about Mizuki that was a little disturbing. What is it, Naruto? He smelled of snakes. Are you sure of this, Naruto? Sandame asked, her eyes hardening. Yup, after spending a year in the forest of death I can smell a snake a mile away, Gigi. Mizuki stank of snakes. Is everything okay, Gigi? Naruto was unaware of his degree of truthfulness. Upon leaving the room, Naruto gestured for his Anbu. I want you to send an Anbu to investigate Mizuki. I want everything on him and keep eyes on him at all times. Is that understood? Hokage. Sama, yes, the Anbu uttered as she retreated from view. Within Mayushi's store. Hey old man, I am here, back from my first day. How was it? It was good. I'm working with Shino, Kiba and Hinata-chan for the next 2 weeks. Oh really, Hinata-chan, my little boy has a girlfriend already. Can.it, old man, regretted Naruto's verbal gaffe. Ha ha ha, okay. Be careful, young one. Emotions take us farther than we should go and let us hold on when we should let go. Yes, I know. Dakodo 10. Do not let yourself be guided by feelings of lust or love. But old man, it's nothing, we're just friends. A small spark eventually turns into a raging bonfire under the right conditions. Your affections may be small and inconsequential to you now, however, in time that will change. Do not get carried away by your affection for this young lady, it is way too early for this. Yes, old man. Hey old coot, I got in trouble with the Hokage also. I know, I heard the villagers talking. Konoha has got quite the gossip circle. Tell me what happened. The boy answered, hi, and continued telling the story of his first day of school. Interesting, you said he smelt of snakes, right? Yup, and a really strong scent as well. You did well to remain aware in such a situation. Keep your wits about you. It may not be a coincidence, the occurrences of today. Hi, okay, now to other things. Today you are going to learn about proper table manners and tea drinking. Oh man. Thus, Naruto's instruction under the elderly man persisted. At the meeting of the council, Sarutobi took a seat next to the shinobi council members. I would like to begin this meeting by discussing two matters. The other council members remained silent. Uzumaki Naruto and the academy teacher Mizuki have been involved in an altercation on the day of the team assignments. Of course you already know of this, but I would like you know the Mizuki forfeited 1 month's salary and Naruto too. Given that everyone in attendance was aware of Naruto's living circumstances, the young child was dealt a pretty severe blow when he was denied 2 months' pay. They were unaware that it had no effect whatsoever on Naruto. 2 months without pay is nothing after a year in the forest of death with nothing but his Bakken to survive. What would make them all uncomfortable is the second piece of information. I have reason to believe that Orochimaru has been able to infiltrate Konoha with a spy. What? They exclaimed together. Yes, and I believe him to be the academy teacher Mizuki. I have assigned a squad of Anbu to investigate him. One of Konoha's best interrogation specialists, Inoichi, said, Hokage. Sama, I think we should also keep an eye out for any other potential spies. If Orochimaru has been able to infiltrate us, then surely he will send more than one. As Inoichi pointed out, this is a serious problem. If we capture Mizuki, he might lead us to the others. Morino Ibiki, the chairman of the Committee for Torture and Interrogation, continued. I don't think so. Orochimaru is a cruel and wily man, and I doubt that many of his spies will know of each other due to a fear of his network being breached. We must take our time with this. Uzumaki Naruto has proven himself to be a very observant young one. How did he discover Mizuki as a potential spy? If you don't mind me asking, Hokage. Sama? Said Narashikaku. The whole room fell silent. Only then did they realize the true nature of the situation. Naruto had just engaged Mizuki in a direct confrontation, so if anyone was going to be the victim, it would be him. No, I don't mind, Shikaku. During their little encounter, Naruto told me that Mizuki smelled heavily of snakes and that he was disturbed by this. How was he able to detect this scent off of Mizuki? Asked Shibi. I asked him almost the same question, and he told me that after spending a year in the forest of death he could smell a snake a mile away. Hiyashi took the turn to ask, he spent a year in the forest of death? At this point. Yes, his sensei left him in the forest of death for training. I had an Anbu squad watching the boy the entire time. The old warhawk Danzo remarked, to survive in the forest of death for a whole year would easily make him Chunin level or higher. The others were forced to concur. Had one of their shinobi gone missing? The council discussed their plans for dealing with Orochimaru's impending threat for the remainder of the evening. With Team 8, the 2 weeks passed in a blur. Despite being D-ranked, they thoroughly enjoyed their missions. Particularly Naruto and Hinata delighted in working together, while Kiba was always grumbling about how dull the missions were. The group got to know each other much better by spending a lot of time conversing about various topics. Kurenai could not be happier with Naruto and her team. She would undoubtedly suggest that the boy be a regular member of her squad. The 4 children were simply hanging out before saying goodbye to one another on their last day together. They remembered every hilarious incident from their 2 weeks together, particularly the ones involving Naruto and Kiba. Hey Dobi, you're not too bad, you know. Yeah dog boy, you're not too bad yourself. Akamaru, make sure you take Kiba for his shots, okay? Woof, woof, the dog exclaimed in agreement. Following Naruto's remark, Kiba and Naruto started to struggle. Shino gave a slight shake of his head, and Hinata grinned at their antics. Shino spoke after the two had completed their usual skirmish. Naruto, it was a pleasure working with you. I must admit that you are an able and dependable comrade. I hope we can work again in the future. I am sure we will, Shino, and I also look forward to working with you in the future. Well then, I shall be off now. Yeah, I should head off as well. A new litter of pups were born yesterday and I have to help my sis take care of them. See ya later, Dobi, as Kiba ran into the distance. See ya later, dog. Boy. Hinata was limited to laughing at the boy's antics. Hinata and Naruto were the only two who stayed together after Shino and Kiba left. Since today is our last day, can I walk you home? S. Sure, Naruto. The two strolled leisurely through the streets, exchanging friendly banter. Because Naruto jokes so often, Hinata was laughing a lot and they were truly enjoying each other's company. Hinata couldn't help but stare at the flowers when they happened to stroll past the Yamanaka flower shop. She inherited her mother's passion for flowers from an early age. The boy said, "Would you like to go in, Hinata-chan?" "Sure. I love flowers." Regretfully, Yamanaka Ino, the Konoha gossip queen, was at work that day. The aforementioned queen was idly seated at the register. Given that it was the middle of the week, the day was rather slow. That all changed when the Hyuga heiress and the fascinating Naruto entered together and began examining the flowers. Following his brief altercation with Mizuki, Ino began to find Naruto to be quite intriguing. He was courteous, at least until you threatened to take his swords, and he looked good in the black kimono. He was cute, but not as cute as Sasuke. She noticed that the two were enjoying a pleasant, informal chat. It really surprised Ino that Naruto seemed to know a lot about flowers, and in her view, this added another, interesting point, to Naruto's score. She couldn't help but feel a little jealous of them because they appeared to be very at ease with one another. Perhaps we could have a deeper conversation when he joins my team for his 2-week rotation. Naruto and Hinata resumed their journey to the Hyuga compound after their brief stop at the Yamanaka flower shop. When Hinata questioned Naruto about how he learned so much about flowers, he told her about his years spent in the Death Forest. He added that as a result, he now has a deeper appreciation for life. The couple appeared to be a great match, according to some passers-by. Others, however, believed that the Hyuga heiress had no business hanging out with that boy. They arrived at the Hyuga compound 20 minutes later and were getting close to the gate guarded by 2 Hyugas. After all that talking, Naruto admitted to her that he was a little thirsty. So Hinata, being the gracious person that she was, invited him in for a drink of water. He ignored the curious looks the Hyuga were giving him. She asked him to hold on while she went to get him some water. He called out to her just as she was ready to go. Hinata-san, being cautious not to address her in her own compound as Hinata-chan. When the girl realized what Naruto was doing, she said, "Yes, Naruto-san." The boy took out his katana and held it out to her. It is dishonorable for a samurai to enter another's home bearing arms. The astonished Hyuga heiress said, "Oh, okay," taking his katana and entering the house with it. When he first saw the stunning Hyuga garden, which was like a paradise, he was drawn to it for no apparent reason. He went into the center of the garden and found a clearing where he sat on his knees and looked around. Before someone behind him arrived, he had been sitting there for a few minutes. He stood up and turned to face Hyuga Hiyashi, the head of the Hyuga clan. "I apologize for the intrusion, Hyuga-sama, but the garden was too beautiful to ignore." He bowed to the man with respect. Since he had never seen the Hyuga leader, he was unaware that the person he was speaking to was the clan chief. Nonetheless, he was aware of royalty when he saw it, having received that instruction in manners from Mayushi. Without turning to face him, Hiyashi sensed that the boy was impressed. He always maintained his vigilance and exhibited good manners. "Tea is no matter Uzumaki-san, but Hinata informed me of your presence and I observed you on the garden. I just thought that I might greet you myself. I have heard that you show great promise." "Thank you Hyuga-sama, but I have done nothing special. I train hard so that I may serve Hai no Kuni to the best of my ability." "You are very modest Uzumaki-san, you are much different from 1 year ago." "That I have, for the path I walked change was necessary." "2-san," Hinata uttered falteringly. "Your water is here Uzumaki." "Thank you for your hospitality Hyuga-sama." The boy received a firm nod from the patriarch of Hyuga, who did not fail to notice the smile that emerged on the two of them as they sat and enjoyed a drink of water. Before departing, Naruto had been at the Hyuga compound for about an hour. He was heading to Mayushi's place so that he could start his calligraphy lessons. Mayushi remained silent despite knowing the exact reason for the boy's tardiness. He needed to learn how to handle such situations. That doesn't mean, though, that he couldn't work the boy to the bone, and that's exactly what he did. The location was breathtaking, the moon was high in the sky, and it was late in the evening. After his grueling training session with Mayushi, Naruto had just finished. In an attempt to see as much of the beautiful night as possible, he made the decision to take the longer route to his apartment. He chose to investigate after sensing multiple disruptions in his field of awareness while he was moving through the trees. He was able to see the man as he drew nearer. The towering figure was moving away from the Hokage tower while toting a big scroll on his back. A robber, Naruto recognized. "I better stop him before he makes his getaway. I'm sure he's going to take the easiest route to the border, so I'll cut him off there." When Mizuki is around. After successfully obtaining the forbidden scroll of sealing, the Chunin set out to find Orochimaru in the land of rice. "Those idiots Anbu will not be able to halt my withdrawal, and I will obtain the authority Orochimaru assured me of." After nearly 60 minutes of chasing, Mizuki was getting closer to his objective. He was heading for a small clearing that would not be too far from the border in his route to power. A triumphant smile spread across his face. But when he noticed Naruto's well-known figure in the way of his rise to power, his smile vanished. The boy calmly stood in front of him, his hands resting on his chest. The man's chakra and anger rose. What are you doing here, you little brat? And the Anbu was able to locate him. I'm here to stop a thief and a traitor from escaping the village. Why have you taken that scroll? This is my path to power. It's the forbidden scroll of sealing. The man tapped the scroll on his back. The Anbu, anticipating their squad commander's signal, had already surrounded the pair and were ready to attack. The boy inquired, why would you betray your own country? Sensing that he and Mizuki were about to be surrounded. Konoha is weak and is nothing of its former glory in this world. Power is all that matters. The Sandaime is a peace-loving fool that will lead Konoha to ruin. Why keep all that power sealed up when it can be used to crush our enemies? The Anbu were about to launch an attack when their commander gave the order to halt and observe the action. Naruto had read about the great shinobi wars, how millions of innocent lives were lost, and how more heroes were born out of them than were lost. I'll tell you why all that power is sealed, Mizuki, because it would only bring war upon us, Naruto said. We live in a world where the strong control the weak live to serve the strong. Now get out of my way, you stupid demon. It was the first time Naruto had drawn his swords since he had acquired them. He started to unsheathe Yuarakai Tei and Hagashi Seishin, saying, I cannot allow you to do that. You are a criminal of the worst kind, a traitor. You are not getting past me. You will be going back to Konoha with one leg and hanging on for dear life. He was drawing his blades when he heard a soft, comforting voice. It came from the swords. For peace and justice. You, stop, me? Ha ha ha. What a joke, I am a Chunin and you are nothing more than useless samurai. Mizuki laughed hysterically. In battle, the worst mistake you can make is to underestimate your opponent. For stealing the forbidden scroll, you forfeit your left hand. Ha ha ha. I want to see you try, demon. Naruto vanished from sight as soon as he said the word, demon, only to reappear in the same location. Ha ha ha. Seer. Mizuki was about to say something, but his left hand flew through the air, leaving a trail of blood in its wake. He let out a horrified scream. What have you done to my arm, you little monster? I told you before, Mizuki-san, I don't make idle threats. Mizuki was aware that he had heard the boy make that claim earlier. Then it dawned on him. He was trying to take the boy's swords on the first day of class. That was punishment for putting your filthy hands on Konoha's most dangerous secrets and seeking to give it to another. Do you get it now, Anbu Commander? He gestured to his subordinates. Mizuki won't be leaving, so relax and take in the show. They responded with an enthusiastic nod. Many of them were still perplexed as to how the child was able to move so quickly. They once again focused on the altercation occurring beneath them. The next query, Naruto uttered. Why are you working for Orochimaru? Mizuki, clutching the stump where his hand once was, remarked, how do you know that I work for him, you little monster? You stink of snakes and tried to steal the forbidden scroll. Orochimaru hates Konoha and is one of its most dangerous missing nin and has an insatiable thirst for power and immortality. It wasn't too hard to put one and one together. The boy's capacity for reason impressed the Anbu. The child in front of Mizuki now gave him the creeps. He promised me power once I got the scroll to him. Once I kill you I will be home free. Naruto began to laugh. You're too dumb, Mizuki-san. Do you honestly think that we would allow you to escape with our secrets just like that? What do you mean be we? The insane man asked in a bewildered tone. Are you really a Chunin? We're surrounded by Anbu. There is no way you are coming out of Fire Country alive. This will be your last few days on this earth. You will die a traitorous death with a single leg. How is he aware that we exist? The majority of Anbu believed. At that moment, a lone kunai shot through the air and became embedded in the ground in front of him, saying, Ha? You're bluffing, there are no Anbu here. Believe me now, Mizuki. Baka? Mizuki became more fearful. Don't you see, you betrayed your country to a traitor and you were betrayed by him. He sent you into a trap with no escape, you fool. The man yelled, lies, and charged at the boy. As soon as Naruto got within 6 feet of the boy, he executed a lightning fast upward slash, sending Mizuki's arm hurtling through the air and leaving a trail of blood in its wake. For joining leagues with one of Konoha's greatest traitors you forfeit your right arm. Mizuki, looking horrified and unable to believe what had happened, dropped to his knees in front of Naruto. Did the boy say what he said? Was he merely a piece in Orochimaru's strategy? Please, show mercy. No more, I'll tell you everything, please. As I said, I don't make idle threats, Mizuki-san. I told you that I would be sending you back with no arms and a single leg. The man's complexion went white. The Anbu hiding there weren't sure if it was blood loss or fear. Mercy? After you chose to walk the path of a traitor, you beg for mercy now? No, traitors deserve no mercy. You deserve no mercy. For committing the highest betrayal. For betraying Konoha and the land of fire, you forfeit your left leg. Mizuki's gaze widened. No, please. Please, Mizuki said, and with a single, skillful motion, her left leg thudded to the ground. His body started to tilt to one side as all of his weight was supported by that leg. But as it fell, the blood-stained forbidden scroll of sealing was taken from his back. The Anbu were watching a display, and they were silently in shock. Naruto was standing over Mizuki's lifeless body in a bloody puddle. With true fear in his eyes, the man raised his head and pleaded, "Please kill me." Sheathing his two swords, Naruto struck the man several times on his body until the bleeding stopped, saying, "I will not give you the pleasure of death. You, my dear Mizuki-san, will be taken to the torture and interrogation division, where they will suck your mind dry of all its information about that traitor Orochimaru. So that Konoha and Fire Country can wipe the stain of his presence off our nation, and you will die a traitor's death." Naruto woke up to find Anbu all around him. He looked at them all and nodded in agreement, and they all looked back at him in kind. "Uzumaki Naruto, you are ordered by the Hokage to attend an emergency council meeting at 8 in the morning," said the Anbu commander. The boy said, "Hi Anbu-san," and he strode cautiously into the night. The Anbu turned to face the gory scene before them. "T and I won't have much work to do with this one. Anko will enjoy herself. Come on, let's seal the body and the parts and send it over to T and I want someone to take the scroll back to the Hokage and report what we saw here tonight." Everything was already visible to the Hokage in his crystal ball. The council will definitely want to know about this. The following day, word of Mizuki's treachery and eventual mutilation quickly went viral. Many of the populace were shocked by what they heard and were unaware of the identity of the person who had captured and ruthlessly dismembered the traitor Mizuki. On the other hand, the Konoha shinobi community knew precisely who had done the deed, and he gained even more respect from them. Anbu couldn't resist telling their friends what they had witnessed the boy do and how he had done it. They realized then and there that Naruto and samurai were not to be taken lightly. It also conveyed a very strong message of never betray to the people of Konoha. In the heart of the land of rice, in the remotest parts of Rice Country, Orochimaru was sitting in his lair when one of his peons arrived with a message. A message from one of our spies in Konoha, Orochimaru. Sama. After reading the message in code, Orochimaru burst out laughing. Kukakukukukukukukuku. Kukakukukukukukukuku was all that could be heard coming from the snake's lair, and they fell for it hook, line, and sinker.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.